not included in another police board meeting.
I'm Sean Malone. Following a panel discussion of the benefits of a data center, I had one question. How do you convince the public? I've got that story coming up.
This is KMOX Health Editor Fred Bottomer. Coming up, we'll get the details on some new colon cancer screening guidelines.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A warm day today with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 86.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. We have a weekend of Cards and Cubs to look forward to. Can't wait for that. We'll give you an update on the club on the way in 15 minutes.
Celebrating 100 years of informing and entertaining. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. The voice of St. Louis.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Oil prices are up again this morning as rockets and drones fly in the Middle East. Kuwait says it had to fend off attacks. U.S. forces launching more strikes into Iranian territory, targeting attack drones and a launch site. A former magazine columnist who accused President Trump of sex assault is now under federal investigation. Sources tell ABC News E. Jean Carroll is facing a Department of Justice probe into whether she lied on the stand in her civil suit against the president. She was awarded a $5 million judgment. 9 people still unaccounted for after the rupture of a chemical tank in Washington state. 2 have died. ABC's Melissa Adon in Longview, Washington.
The EPA is on the ground here. They're testing the air quality. They're testing the water quality. And so far, they haven't come up with any threats to the area, any threats to the community.
France today is moving to officially repeal a law that has been on the books for centuries. That law allows humans to be classified as property. This is ABC News. One of the most famous animals at the famous Bronx Zoo has died.
Happy, the Asian elephant, had been at the Bronx Zoo for nearly 50 years and became world famous in 2005 when researchers discovered she could recognize herself in a mirror, a rare sign of self-awareness seen only in a handful of species. But Happy's life also sparked debate. Animal rights groups fought in court to have her moved to a sanctuary, arguing that elephants don't belong in city zoos. New York's highest court ultimately ruled against that effort. The zoo says Happy was euthanized after her health sharply declined in recent weeks. She was 55. Dave Packer, ABC News, New York.
New numbers from the CDC show about 8% of Americans went without health insurance last year. That's a number about on par with the year before. A new survey shows the average CEO pay in the United States is just under $18 million. The average employee pay at U.S. companies that they run is under $90,000. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It is 6:02 and we have partly cloudy skies, 65 degrees right now in downtown St. Louis. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman, and these are the stories making news this morning.
I want to clear the record on something. This is a contract before that would have been signed and the public would have not known on it.
St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners attorney Chris Grayville trying to justify signing a contract yesterday for a drone program that's been looked at for over a year. However, it had to be signed immediately, and the board couldn't wait until Mayor Kara Spencer finished a meeting at the East-West Gateway Council of Governments.
Chris Grayville says this opportunity to sign the drone deal came up late last week.
Through some efforts of Major Morisi, something they've been working on and looking at for a long period of time. The reason we had an emergency meeting and discussing it with the chief's office and everybody else was because we felt it was very important to be transparent.
But in fact, the Board of Police Commissioners did not notify Mayor Kara Spencer until Tuesday, and this isn't the first time they have done this.
With all due respect, under previous arrangements, as you referenced, our city attorneys would review the contract as well.
Which I have,
And
as I review all contracts for the board.
I said our city attorneys would have reviewed the contract, Mr. Grayville, and that didn't happen in this case. There should have been, in my opinion, more discussions within the police board and more notice than 24 hours for a matter of this importance.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
That state-appointed Board of Police Commissioners elected to not show up to testify before the city's Aldermanic Budget Committee. Instead, they delivered a 700-page response questioning the validity of the subpoenas. Alderman Rasheen Aldridge chairs the Budget Committee and was asked if he would escalate the subpoenas to the courts.
I won't say yay or nay. I think it's digesting everything that just, transpired. So I wouldn't be opposed to it.
Aldridge says he did not attend any of the police board's budget meetings while they were building the budget this winter, but adds many of their recent meetings conflict with other meetings at City Hall.
Police now say 2 people, not just one, opened fire at a Steak and Shake employee in Spanish Lake last month. St. Louis County prosecutors charged 22-year-old Toriano Baker with first-degree murder this week in the killing of 32-year-old Chauncey Meekins at the Bellefontaine Road restaurant on April 8th. Baker was the passenger in a white SUV when he and the driver, Jada Bell, allegedly shot Meekins after a dispute over an order at the drive-thru window. Investigators say the gun was traced back to Baker. Both suspects are now in custody on murder charges.
Greater St. Louis Inc. held a private panel discussion on the positives that data centers can have on the local economy. How do they convince those not in attendance?
If it wasn't for the data center that just got approved in the city of St. Louis, our water rates would be going up a whole lot more than they are about to go up.
One data center campus in Kansas City is generating $187 million for the North Kansas City School District.
We are giving opportunities to folks to get in trades that every one of them pays well over $120,000 a year in wages and benefits.
I posed that a question of how to convince the public to John Stifler with the St. Louis Buildings and Construction Trades Council. He says he supports the idea of tying data centers to community benefit agreements.
I'm pushing this for downtown St. Louis, the Armory District, where we go out and recruit people from the different communities, the north side, the south side, and we bring young people in and we get them on the projects with the guarantee of direct entry into the trades.
He also said touring data centers to see how they operate has changed the opinion of outsiders. Asked if data centers should start offering tours to the general public, he called it an outstanding idea. Jake Hummel, the president of Missouri AFL-CIO, says local leaders need to prevent hearings from becoming chaotic and push back on falsehoods.
Why didn't you stop and say, that's absolutely not the case? I just want to point that out. That's not true. And the short answer is, I think they don't want to raise the ire of those folks.
That ire can lead to ouster, as the Festus Council members who were voted out last month learned. Hummel says elected officials should still do the right thing by pointing out false information, even if it costs them their job. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
St. Louis Lambert Airport is set to receive a $30 million grant today from the KMOX business desk. The money comes from the FAA and aims to complete the consolidated terminal project, replacing aging infrastructure and more. Airport officials say the project should support 40 million travelers at the airport.
The Reedy Press book, Route 66, The First 100 Years, has been awarded the gold medal for Best Coffee Table Book by the Independent Book Publishers Association. The book by Jim Ross and Shelley Graham also earned first prize in the Oklahoma Book Awards on the same day.
It's 6:07, traffic and weather next.
When it comes to your hearing, you deserve expert care. At the Audiology Center, you're treated by certified audiologists Dr. Colleen Bosler, Dr. Adam Foss, and Dr. Bailey Campbell, meaning 8 years of advanced education, clinical expertise, and a commitment to best practices.
Charlie, we offer hearing aids from all major manufacturers, so you get what's best for you. Every patient receives individualized testing, precise fittings using real ear measurements, and personalized programming to ensure your hearing aids perform exactly as they should. And our care doesn't stop once you leave the office. We're committed to helping your hearing aids last through ongoing adjustments, maintenance, and long-term support at no extra cost. Better hearing is personal, not one size fits all. Call us today at 636-441-7470 or visit us online at theaudiologycenterstl.com. And let's take that first step together.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-329-1010. That's 1-800-329-1010. Or go to selectquote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-329-1010. Details on example rate at selectquote.com.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 6:09. We need to get you updated on traffic and weather. It looks like some of the clouds have moved out of downtown right now. I just see the Missouri flag flapping gently in the breeze at Soldiers Memorial across the street. Right now, I see that Roger Brand is ready to tell us more about your ride in this morning. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, yeah, it's just par for the course what it's been so far this morning, Debbie. When Tom mentioned it earlier at 5:30 with our roadwork delays going on out there, northbound 55 is bumper to bumper from basically Richardson Road all the way up to the Merrimack River. They picked up the roadwork that was going on north of there, but there's still restrictions every day. There's around-the-clock restrictions at the Merrimack, so it's pretty solid already. And usually Thursday mornings are light, but because that roadwork just ran a tad late, it's still a solid jam. We'll see if it thins out before we get more volume back in there, but right now it's a solid backup. And then the other thing, roadwork delays, again, just running a little behind schedule. It's eastbound 64, but it's bogged down just east of 157 up the hill most of the way to 159 into that construction zone. They work both ways out there during the overnight hours. Westbound right now is fine through the area, which is the way most folks are traveling. And I had a report a couple of minutes ago. They sent EMS for a report of a car into a building, Ryder Trail South, just north of 70. Not sure if it came off the interstate or not, but we'll keep tabs on that one for you as well. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Don't miss the final home game of the season. Your St. Louis Battlehawks take on the Dallas Renegades Friday, May 29th at 7 p.m. at the Dome. It's Battlehawks Kids Day. Plus, fans can score an Archie bobblehead while supplies last. Tickets start at just $18 at UFLBattlehawks.com. Caw-caw.
Let's check in with AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg and get the latest on this weather.
Some fog patches in the area for a while this morning. Partial sunshine today, warm this afternoon, high 86. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, low 67. More clouds and sun tomorrow with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, the high 81. For Saturday, intervals of clouds and sun with a chance of a shower or thunderstorm, high 82. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Pretty nice morning, actually, Joe. We know it's going to warm up, but for right now, we'll take it. It is mostly clear and 65 degrees downtown at the Arch.
We're getting new details about the massive fire that destroyed an historic riverfront warehouse last Thanksgiving. The Crundon Martin building was supposed to be the anchor for the new Gateway South development. And this week, developer Greg Gleicher told a city board the fire wasn't an accident.
It was started by individuals in an attempt to light their to commit arson against each other's property after breaking into the building. Very unfortunate situation, but still pushing forward, if you will.
With the city now giving developers an extra 3 years to get the rest of the project off the ground, commissioners wanted to know how they plan to keep the remaining vacant buildings safe. Gleicher says they've stepped things up.
Even though we had security on site, it occurred off hour of the night with the day after Thanksgiving, and we since then have implemented a larger security presence on site ever since 24/7.
City officials say getting the area occupied with new businesses will ultimately be the best way to keep trespassers out.
Ladue is closer to seeing its first apartment building. Resident Ted White, who lives near the proposed site, isn't necessarily against it.
We hope to have a wonderful development, but again, there's a lot of big hurdles like traffic, like school attendance that are going to be hard to overcome.
The proposal for the Rock Hill Quarry site calls for a 235-unit luxury complex plus 11 custom homes and 31 villas on what is now an active landfill.
The Ladue Zoning and Planning Commission held its first review last night and took no action. White is a real estate agent who has watched the property sit for years.
I think it's a reality that the site will get developed and should be developed, but it just needs to be done in a proper, thoughtful way, so that it is something that is a wonderful legacy for Ladue and improves the area.
The plan returns to the Planning Commission June 24th, with several more rounds of review and final city council approval still to come.
The headliner for the FIFA Fan Fest in Kansas City will be Missouri native Sheryl Crow. Set against the backdrop of the National World War I Museum and Memorial, there will be space for up to 25,000 fans on July 10th. That's the event of the World Cup quarterfinal match at Kansas City's Arrowhead Stadium. Other acts include Florida, All-American Rejects, Gabby Barrett, and the Chainsmokers. We, of course, will have a friendly before that, June 6th. It will be here at Energizer Park, Bosnia-Herzegovina against Panama. What a matchup that'll be, a prelude to the World Cup. The following day, it will be the Bommarito Automotive Group 500, the IndyCar race at Worldwide Technology Raceway. The Indy 500 champion, Felix Rosenquist, will be joining us on KMOX in 7 minutes at 6:22. As for the Cardinals, this Redbird Report is sponsored by Restoration One of Greater St. Louis. That was a tough one yesterday for the Cardinals. They pitched extremely well. This was all about Dustin May and his terrific outing. He was fantastic. He actually carried a no-hitter into the 8th inning. He looked just amazing against a Brewers team that seems to figure it out just at the right time, and that's exactly what happened, 8th inning.
And only one other base runner today. With one out in the second, Bowers was hit by a pitch. There's a swing, and the ball is lined to left field, and on the run, the ball goes over Torres' glove, and it goes to the wall. A quick throw in will hold Mitchell to a leadoff double, the first hit of the day for the Brewers, and the tying run is in scoring position. May's pitch, Renifo shows bunt, and he gets it down on the third base side, and that's a hit. First and third, nobody out.
So they take him out of the game. May with a tremendous outing, but he gives up his first hits, a no-hitter into the 8th. Cardinals are leading 1-0. Jojo Romero comes in.
Holding the bat high, the pitch to him. Strike 3 called. He got him with a breaking ball. Froze Vaughn, 2 outs.
One more out to get, and it's Christian Yelich.
From the stretch, the pitch. A swing, and there's a hit into right center, tying the game. Walker fields it. He'll throw into second base. On to third, Sal Freely.
Then it just starts to come apart. Next batter, Jackson Churio.
Now Churio faces Jojo Romero. There's a swing, ground ball up the middle field, and bobbled by Wynn. The go-ahead run scores. Wynn couldn't handle the ball cleanly, and Freely crosses the plate to make it 2-1 Brewers in the bottom of the 8th.
Brewers with a 2-1 lead. The other side of this story, though, we can talk about Ollie Marmol and all the gestures between the Cardinals and Brewers. We hashed that out for you yesterday and into this morning. We can talk about Dustin May and his pitching and the fact that the Cardinals gave up 2 runs there in the 8th inning with him sitting in the dugout and watching. But the big story of this series against the Brewers, in my estimation, is the fact that the Cardinals' offense was absent. The Cardinals did not have offense. They scored a run against Jacob Mizorowski. Granted, he might be the best pitcher in baseball right now. They got shut out by Kyle Harrison. The lefty is outstanding. We understand that. But yesterday, Chad Patrick was the starting pitcher for the Brewers. It was a bullpen start for Milwaukee, and the Cardinals still could only score 1 run. They had 8 hits. Here's one of them, Mason Wynn.
Big, tall, right-handed pitcher kicks. He fires. And there's a ground ball up the middle of the infield, and they can't make the play as Terang came together with the Brewers shortstop, and they could not secure the ball, and Mason Wynn is on.
And he represents the tying run, but this was the story of the series. The Cardinals could not get him home. He singled with 1 out, and he stole second. But then Brian Torres flew out to center. Mason advanced to third. He's standing there waiting. It's an opportunity for Joel Pozo. This is what you want. Pozo is that guy. He makes contact. The problem is there are 2 outs at this point.
Top of the 9th, Pozo the batter. The pitch by McGill. A swing and a miss, and this ball game has come to an end. The Brewers have swept the Cardinals, scoring 2 in the 8th They came back to steal this one 2-1.
You don't like the Brewers, understand that, but you probably respect them and what they've been able to do here over the last several years. They've now won 3 in a row. They have taken command of the NL Central. They have a 4.5-game lead over the Cardinals and Cubs. And the Cardinals and Cubs are going to go at it this weekend. A day off today for the Cardinals. The Cubs play today. They take on the Pirates and Paul Skeens. And then they come to St. Louis this weekend. We'll have the first game for you at 6:15 tomorrow night from Busch Stadium. The Montreal Canadiens are on the brink of elimination. They were beaten 4-0 by Carolina. They're down 3-1 in that Eastern Conference final. I'm Tom Ackerman on the home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
The legendary Fast Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bon Air and St. Louis baseball legend Jason Isringhausen.
Izzy, what's going on, man?
Hey, you know what, Eddie boy, I've been pretty busy. Got to get out there and got to do the mowing.
Yep, I'll tell you what, when you get done mowing the grass.
Well, I do my best Forrest Gump impression with all that mowing I have to do around the property.
Do it for St. Louis, do it.
Like Mama said, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, except at Fast Eddie's Bon Air. What are we going to get at Fast Eddie's?
Let me get it right. You can come on over to Fast Eddie's Bar Bon Air, located on the other side of Clark Bridge in beautiful Alton, Illinois. When you're done mowing the grass, come over here and lounge around with me on the beautiful outdoor patio with all the big screens, the live music playing, the hot chick on a stick.
What about that fancy surf and turf you came up with?
Man, I'm telling you what, that is meat and seafood on one stick. And it's called the Eddie. It's the king of all foods.
Like Mr. Shannon always said, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to that Clark Bridge and come see Fast Eddie's Bon Air in beautiful Alton, Illinois.
If you are finding this to be a challenge, I know that I have, and there are a lot of you listening who have the same situation where you're trying to find some at-home help for your loved one. You're calling people. Maybe somebody comes in. They're there for a few days, then they're gone. You got to find somebody else. Can you trust them? And maybe someone in your life, another family member or friend, is helping you care for that loved one. They could get paid for that. This is really an incredible solution that was born out of need. It's called Freedom Care. And so far, Freedom Care has helped more than 160,000 families, and they have a 97% satisfaction rate. So here's how it works. There's no long wait list, no rotating strangers. If you're already caring for someone with Medicaid, or you're ready to help, or you have a friend or family member who is ready to help, call Freedom Care and see if you qualify. You can get paid to care for your loved one with Freedom Care. So don't let this workforce shortage force your loved one to do without the help that they need. Freedom Care, 314-947-5139. 314-947-5139. It is Freedom Care for folks right here in St. Louis, 314-947-5139.
Debbie Monterrey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we still got our jam down south, Tom, on northbound 55, the one you talked about almost an hour ago. Northbound 55 is a solid jam approaching Richardson Road. It goes all the way up to the Merrimack River. Pretty much the standard work zone setup now. I mean, they picked up the overnight work north of the Merrimack River Bridge. Things are opening up as you approach Merrimack Bottom. But again, it's a solid jam through there right now, and it usually never is this time of day, at least. It never gets this bad. And on eastbound 64 Metro East, there's still delays. Looks like they're getting that road picked up, but it's up from 157 up not midway to 159 before it went all the way to 159. So they're working from the front end of that work zone backwards, picking up the barrels. So it is improving there. And that is eastbound 64. Westbound 64 is fine in that area. And that car did leave the highway, westbound 70, just west of Earth City, ended up alongside the train company building. It struck a sign, not the building itself. So that's good news. There's obviously no lane blockage there. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Hottest day of this 5-day forecast today with a high of 86 degrees. We could see some patchy fog around this morning, otherwise partly sunny. Right now it is partly cloudy and 65 downtown.
Well, the Bommarito Automotive Group 500 is coming our way June 7th at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Tom Ackerman with you with the Indianapolis 500 champion, Felix Rosenquist. How does that sound when you're introduced in that manner, Felix?
I feel like I can get used to it.
to being introduced like that. It's it feels very good each time I hear it, and I still don't really believe it when I hear it either.
And I remember when you were interviewed by Jamie Little, you really seemed like you were still in a dream state. You dreamed it, and then it really happened. What an amazing moment in time that must have been for you.
Yeah, this is such a fairy tale finish for me. Just all the things that have happened in my life, in my career leading up to that point, and just the momentum we've been having. And then I had my child, or our child, in the beginning of May, became a father, and that now this. It's just you kind of you feel so lucky, and you almost wonder, like, why do all these good things keep happening? It's just one thing after the other, and you're so blessed in so many ways. And yeah, I don't really know how to top it, to be honest. Like this whole the last month, I feel like nothing really in my life is probably going to top it, and that's cool. That's great. I'm cool with that. But yeah, what a time to be alive for me.
What was it like to be back with them, your wife and daughter?
It was, I had a little FaceTime call right after that interview you talked about, when I was running back to Victory Circle to drink or pour the milk, let's say. I couldn't even hear what she said, but it was such a cool moment just to like have her, I had all these cameras and fans and team members around me. But just seeing her face there with the baby, and it was just such an emotional moment. And then coming home, I had like 10 minutes to be, home and just have a shower before I had to go to our team party. And we just kind of laid down in bed, and like I just started crying, and she did too. And it's, yeah, because as a couple, you do it together. You go through these, the times together, and yeah, and this is a life-changing thing for her as well. Just to, it truly changes your life, the Indy 500. That's the best way I can describe it, and especially in the way it all went down.
And it's a part of Stella's life forever. And I'm telling you, it happens fast. My girls are 19 and 15. It seems like they were just born yesterday. You're coming to St. Louis. You'll be here next weekend for the Bommarito Automotive Group 500. This track is different, obviously, than Indianapolis Motor Speedway, tighter, but challenging at the same time. And I know a lot of fun for the drivers. You seem to all really like it here.
You're right. When we came back to St. Louis quite many years ago, I think it was 2019, it was still a challenge to kind of get the package right with the downforce and the layout, and it was hard to get the passing going in the field. But the series just did such a good job to make those changes, and the last, I think, 2 or even 3 years, it's just been probably the best races of the calendar, to be honest, outside of the 500. Just incredible racing, a lot of passing, a lot of action, and always seems to always be an exciting finish as well. And great partners with Bommarito Auto Group. They make a great show there with that big spectacle in the beginning of the race with the fireworks and a lot of fans. So yeah, we're pumped to get back for sure.
Well, thanks for bringing the sport back and for an incredible race. We had David Malukas in our office not a month ago talking about driving in that race. It was so tight. It was so close, closest ever, half a car length. Just amazing time for not only motorsports, but for sports in general. So we appreciate both of you for bringing us that incredible moment.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That is Felix Rosenquist, the Indianapolis 500 champion. I'm Tom Ackerman, and at 6:28, the time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
For decades, Morgan & Morgan has represented hundreds of thousands of people at their hour of need. Injuries on the job, car crashes, medical malpractice, and nursing home abuse, Social Security claims, dangerous drugs, and dangerous products. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason, and no firm is even close. Then we got to thinking, what if we could prevent these terrible events before they occurred? So we built the AI-powered People Protector. Simply visit peopleprotector.com and type in the product you have questions about before you buy it. Children's toys and accessories, cars, drugs, products, you name it, we got it. With our success, we decided to pay it forward for all of America. Our way of saying thank you for your trust all these years. Morgan & Morgan, protecting America. And if you've already been injured, just visit us at forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
It is 6:30. We have partly cloudy skies downtown, 65 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman, Roger Brand, in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we still got our jam on northbound 55. It's opening up as you get through 141 now instead of up at the Merrimack River, but it's still approaching Richardson all the way up through, that Church Road overpass is, like I said, it's opening up as you get through 141. So still a solid bumper-to-bumper back up there, northbound 55. On the Missouri side, other than that, once you get on to North 270, you're great shape through Gravois, up past Manchester, headed to Ladue. Out west, southbound 61. A little busy south of P, midway down to Wentzville Parkway, some slower traffic, but once you reach the Parkway, it's a good run. The ramp to eastbound 70 looks a little slow, but once you get on eastbound 70, it's fine. And eastbound 64 is fine out of St. Charles County as well. And on the Illinois side, we still have this backup. Right now, what it's looking like is eastbound 64 on the brakes, approaching 157, not quite midway up the hill to 159. Again, earlier it was extending up through 159 due to overnight roadwork in the area. Westbound 64, though, still looks great, headed the other direction for the bridges. Next update at 6:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
All right, today is going to be partly sunny and a high of 86 degrees. We could see a thunderstorm in spots tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise, just clouds and a little tiny bit of sun. Tomorrow's high 81. It's 65 out there right now.
It's 6:32.
I think she may or may be mute.
She's on mute.
Yeah.
I am present. I'm also in a East-West Gateway Board meeting this morning at 10 a.m., as was conveyed to the Board of Police Commissioners.
That's Mayor Kara Spencer expressing concern that once again the St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners held a budget meeting at the exact same time when the East-West Gateway Council had their meeting.
The aerial response unit, a fleet of drones, will only fly to calls for service. KMOX first told you about this when Chief Robert Tracy first released the information on X Tuesday. Despite not contacting Mayor Spencer, the Board of Police Commissioners signed the drones contract.
This board needs to do a better job of communicating with each other and being respectful of the public and the other officials on this board to be able to govern the body of the police department with more notice for something as important as a contract to have drones over the city of St. Louis.
Spencer also kept asking why, after this drone project's been looked at for over a year, that the contract had to be signed immediately. The drones are being funded by the St. Louis Police Foundation, however, not the drone pilots, who will have to be hired and paid by SLMPD. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
That state-appointed Police Board of Commissioners was subpoenaed to testify before the Board of Aldermen. Did they show up?
The commissioners did not, instead dropping off their response. A near 700-page document outlining their belief the subpoenas were not properly served in person and that they do not believe the Aldermanic Committee has the authority to subpoena them. Alderman Rasheen Aldridge, the budget chair, wasn't happy.
That energy they put into those 700 pages, they could have showed they up and presented their budget. That is the biggest budget in the city of St. Louis. Like, valid or not, they clearly took it as some type of validation.
Asked if Aldridge attended any of the police board's budget hearings this winter, he said he had not. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Money Minute next.
Chris Ronchi, Amy Mark Scores. The Chris and Amy Show. It's not the same old talk. It's fresh, it's different, and it's local. Chris and Amy dig into the news that matters, but they also keep it light, keep it fun, and keep you smiling. Serious when it needs to be, silly when it can be. That's pure entertainment with a local heartbeat. The Chris and Amy Show, weekdays at 9 on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Ann Wagner from Missouri's 2nd District. I work every day to put more money in your pocket, secure the border, protect our shared Missouri values, and keep our communities safe. Whether it's visiting one of my public events in neighborhoods around the district or by contacting my office, I want to hear from you. If you need help with a federal agency, please contact me at wagner.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Hello, 4th of July.
Back-to-back Jack! Kerry Robinson, a hero tonight!
The Cubs visit St. Louis May 29th through the 31st for a weekend of baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium. The history is real. The fans are loud, and the energy in the ballpark is unmatched. Day or night, every pitch matters when these two meet. So get ready, Cardinals fans. This is what summer baseball in St. Louis is all about. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/tickets.
The weekend starts at Busch Stadium. Grab your crew and kick it off at Friday Night Live. Every Friday night home game, Budweiser Terrace turns into the hottest happy hour in the Lou. With $5 beers, $5 hot dogs, $7 margaritas, live music, and more all game long. Meet up with friends, soak in the energy, and keep the night going with baseball under the lights. Good vibes, great deals, your new Friday tradition. Get tickets now at cardinals.com.
It is 6:36, and it's time for your money report. It is sponsored for you by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is Bloomberg Money Minute. Shares of Dell Technologies popping higher this morning after the tech company won a $9.7 billion contract to help the U.S. military streamline its licenses for Microsoft software. Dell Federal Systems beat several competitors for the 5-year contract. The Pentagon says the deal will cut annual costs by $422 million. Checking on the markets, fresh attacks in the Middle East fueling doubts about a peace deal. The S&P 500 finished the day yesterday little changed. This morning, stocks are seeing small losses. S&P futures are down 10 points, Dow futures falling 70. And former BP chairman Albert Manifold said nobody raised the issue of his conduct during his time at the oil major. BP ousted Manifold this week after 8 months on the job, citing serious concerns relating to governance standards, oversight, and conduct. Sources say there have been complaints about Manifold's aggressive behavior toward employees. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Men, if you're suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, you're not alone. Most importantly, you don't have to live with it. Paramount Men's Medical Center restores men's sex lives in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, even when Viagra and Cialis don't work. Here's Dr. Simovitz, specialist in men's health.
Paramount Men's Medical Center's painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. 98% of patients see instant results right in the office.
Men are now lasting longer than they ever imagined. And the best part, at Paramount Men's Medical Center, your consultation and first treatment are free. Qualified patients even get their testosterone checked free. Call 314-720-8444. 314-720-8444. Take control of your sex life. Call now. 314-720-8444.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
This is the Gas House Gang from KMOX.
Bernie Nicholas and the Gas House Gang, today at noon on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Queenie so far. Next update at 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 6:41. Let's get a look at the forecast because it's gone from kind of gloomy and overcast to I'm seeing some blue skies through the clouds as they're moving through. Our AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg is here to sort us all out.
And Debbie, we will see some sunshine today. It'll be warm this afternoon. It should be rain-free, too, with a high of 86. The humidity has been pretty high. I think that backs off a little bit as we go deeper to today. And tonight, partly to mostly cloudy. Should be mild at those 67. A little bit cloudier, a little bit cooler tomorrow. Our high 81, and there is a risk for a thunderstorm in the afternoon. I still think most of the day is rain-free. Saturday, clouds and sun, a stray shower or thunderstorm again. The vast majority of the day looks rain-free. Saturday's high 82. Sunday, partly sunny, the high 84. We'll see some sunshine on Monday, low to mid-80s. Right now, it's 66 at St. Peter's, 69 at Florissant, partly sunny, 70 downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, thank you, Joe. It is now 6:42. President Trump has vowed to keep the Ebola outbreak, now ravaging Central Africa, away from the United States. ABC's Faith Abube explains how the Trump administration plans to carry that out.
The White House saying Americans exposed to the virus in the DRC will be sent to a health facility in Kenya for monitoring instead of being flown back to the U.S. But the Union for the U.S. Foreign Service pushing back, calling the decision a stark departure from prior outbreaks where Americans were repatriated and monitored at specialized U.S. treatment facilities.
State lawmakers and other elected leaders paused to pay tribute to Illinois senior Senator Dick Durbin as he prepares to retire from political life. We get more from Jeff Buckles in Springfield.
Before Cam Buckner was a state house Democrat from Chicago, he was an intern in Senator Durbin's office.
We are welcoming home one of the most consequential public servants Illinois has ever
produced.
He and another former Durbin staffer, Chicago State Senate Democrat Mike Simmons, helped introduce the senator during a joint session of the legislature.
I want Senator Durbin to know that his example lives on.
Then Durbin, whose career in public service began in 1969, thanked the thousands of aides and interns who have come through his office, giving them credit for many of his achievements.
Any success was a team effort.
And before closing, the now 81-year-old veteran of Springfield and Washington politics invoked Abraham Lincoln's warnings about divisions over slavery as he urged lawmakers to help secure democracy.
My life has been genuinely enriched by helping people from our great state and nation. I hope that yours will be as well.
Open source intelligence, or OSINT, is a growing threat to national security, according to Congresswoman Ann Wagner. OSINT involves the use of publicly available data online to plot terrorist attacks or military strikes by an enemy government.
With an ocean of raw data growing exponentially each day, the intelligence community's ability to analyze this abundance of information with speed and accuracy is vital to our national security.
A witness testified at a recent U.S. House hearing that the attacker in the New Orleans terrorist attack was wearing smart glasses before his rampage to record video. 14 people were killed, more than 30 injured in the 2025 New Year's Day attack. Opponents of a ballot issue that would make it harder for citizens to change the Missouri Constitution call the measure a power grab by politicians.
If even one congressional district votes no, it vetoes it for the entire state. One vote vetoes 7. That is a remarkably absurd high standard. No other state does that.
The spokesman for the state realtors-backed committee, Scott Sharton, says that's a higher bar for citizens than for lawmakers. Missourians have used the initiative petition process to legalize marijuana, expand Medicaid, raise the minimum wage, and guarantee abortion rights.
With Ricky Orton, I'm John Rooney. Yesterday in Milwaukee, Dustin May no-hit the Brewers for 7 innings, and then he gave up a double that just got over Brian Torres' glove, a bunt single that should have probably been fielded for a sacrifice bunt, but wasn't, and then Yelich came through with a hit, and an error allowed the go-ahead run to score. The Brewers came back to steal the game 2-1.
And the Cardinals ended up getting the tying run on base in the top of the 9th inning and couldn't come up with the hit. Too many outs with runners in scoring position for the Cardinals. They couldn't come up with the big hit yesterday and really throughout the series against the Brewers, who sweep the Cardinals in Milwaukee for the first time since 2011.
The win goes to Aaron Ashby. He's 9-0. Dustin May falls to 3-6. The Cardinals have provided him only 6 runs total in his last 6 starts, and a save for Trevor McGill. Off today, Cardinals-Cubs, 6:15 tomorrow night on the air at 5:20.
Ollie, we say it so many times, baseball can be an exhilarating game. It can be a cruel game. That's about as tough as it gets.
Not really. I'll be quite honest with you. It was a good game. Our guy pitched really, really well. We knew we were going to need more than one to take this, but overall, I liked the way we played on the wrong side of it, but competition was good.
Yeah, Dustin really was terrific. His best of the year by far.
No doubt. I mean, the way the ball was coming out today was really, really good. Fastball was good. Sweeper was incredible. Cutter, all of it. So I enjoyed watching him get after it today.
You said you needed more than one. Offensively, this whole series, no hits with runners in scoring position. That's tough to overcome.
No doubt. It really is. And something we're working on. And at the end of the day, the guys across the way did a better job than we did as far as execution. You learn from it. This is a group that is enjoying competing. You just got to keep going.
And you got the Cubs coming up, big homestand. I'm sure the guys are looking forward to being at home for a while where they can get their footing back underneath.
No doubt. Enjoying an off day and then getting after it.
Cardinals will be taking on the Cubs. Chip Carey there with Ollie Marmol on Cardinals TV. Day off today. Cubs will be taking on the Pirates and Paul Skeens. And then they come to St. Louis. It's a Friday night 6:15 start. Just keep that in mind. Usually it's 6:45 or 7:15. It's a 6:15 start coming up this Friday night, tomorrow night. And it'll be Kyle Leahy pitching against the Cubs in that one. Saturday's starter is Andre Palante, and Sunday is Matthew Liberatore. The Cardinals are in second place in the NL Central, tied with the Cubs. Each team 4.5 out. That'll change depending on whether the Cubs win or lose today. They finally won a game yesterday. They beat the Pirates after losing 10 in a row. They are tied with the Cardinals, 4.5 back. The Stanley Cup final is getting closer. Carolina beat Montreal 4-0 last night. to move within a victory of the Stanley Cup final. And with that win over Montreal on the road, they go up 3-1 in the series. The NBA Finals, we may know that by tonight. Oklahoma City visits San Antonio tonight at 7:30. The Thunder going on the road. They're up 3-2 in that series. This Who's Hot, Who's Not was sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories. And let me tell you a little bit about St. Louis Composting. Growing gardens? Sure. You want to make your landscaping look great? Absolutely. You want to keep your soil resistant to any sort of drought conditions and keep that moisture locked in? Yes, you do. You want to go to St. Louis Composting for all of that. St. Louis Composting. There is no better place to buy mulch. There's no better place to buy soil or compost. They have it all. Here's the game plan. A perfect time for a full landscape cleanup is right now before the summer really hits. Add compost to your garden beds for planting season. You can still do that now. We're still in spring. A healthier yard means a lower water bill this year. And yes, the mulch is going to make your yard pop. It's going to be beautiful and be a well-kept look with mulch. 9 retail locations in the St. Louis area, St. Louis Composting. That means you take your truck or trailer over there and they'll load you up. Or you can have it delivered. STLcompost.com, and it can help you with that. We did that very thing. We had the mulch delivered to our home. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens, making memories.
For men over 50, staying healthy shouldn't feel complicated. Neovitin Men's 50 Plus is a doctor-formulated daily multivitamin designed to support everyday wellness with just 2 tablets a day. You can subscribe at neovitin.com for convenient monthly delivery right to your door, or find Neovitin Men's 50 Plus at your local Deerbirds or Schnucks. All Neovitin vitamins are manufactured in a GMP-certified facility in the USA and are designed for real, everyday routines. Make nutrition easy with Neovitin Men's 50 Plus.
The final home game of the season is here, St. Louis. Your St. Louis Battlehawks hit the field Friday, May 29th at 7 p.m. against the Dallas Renegades at the Dome at America Center. It's Battlehawk Kids Day, packed with family fun, Battlehawks energy, and an Archie bobblehead giveaway while supplies last. Join Battlehawks Nation. Bring the whole crew and help close out the season the only way St. Louis knows how. Loud and proud. Caw-caw. Because caw is the law. Get tickets starting at just $18 at UFLBattlehawks.com or Ticketmaster.
Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM, KMOX. Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
It is 6:51 and time to check in with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're still slow on the south side coming up on 55, Debbie. This traffic reports service of financial and tax strategies from just north of Richardson up to the Merrimack. Heavy and slow the way you normally see it. And then the right lanes, Butler Hill through Mattis, are a little busy after that. North 270 looking good through Gravois 44, even up at the 64 end in the work zone. Approaching Ladue, everything's fine. If you're on southbound 61, getting on to eastbound 64 or 70 out west, they look good across the Missouri River bridges for you there. Eastbound 30, better up the hill from Mauer to 270. Westbound 64 through 159 in Fairview Heights, good, and it's still clear sailing across the bridges downtown. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
If your retirement plan is mostly what if and a little fingers crossed, you deserve better answers than that. Check out Wealth and Wisdom Saturdays at 7 a.m. here on KMOX. I'm Gary Goldberg. Call 800-966-1690.
It's going to be partially sunny today and warm with a high of 86 degrees. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, low 67. Might see a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon tomorrow, otherwise not as warm, high 81. Possible thunderstorm 82 Saturday. Really nice day Sunday with a high of 84 degrees. Currently, we have some clouds in the sky in downtown St. Louis. It's 67 at the Arch.
Some new colon cancer screening guidelines from the American Cancer Society. We get more from KMOX health editor Fred Bottomer.
An in-office blood test is now an option for colorectal cancer screening if you want to skip the colonoscopy or a stool test. ABC News correspondent Morgan Norwood.
Experts say the goal here is simple. They just want to get more people screened. And here's why. Right now, more than 20 million Americans are not up to date on their colon cancer screening. That's about 1 in 3 eligible adults. So someone you know, colorectal cancer is now the leading cancer killer of men under 50 and the second leading cancer killer of women under 50.
The American Cancer Society says colonoscopies remain the gold standard and that these new blood tests are really intended for people who are unwilling or unable to complete the other types of screening options. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Bayer's proposed $7.25 billion Roundup settlement is facing its first formal objections. Attorneys for 13 cancer patients asked a Missouri state court not to approve the deal and said the settlement dispute should be moved to federal court. We asked KMOX legal analyst Brad Young.
Right. It is clearly a state issue. The lawsuits were filed under a state issue, but the defense that Roundup used was a federal issue. So federal questions, because the labeling that's on Roundup is governed by federal law, not state law.
Young says state law interpretation of federal rules about labeling is where the core issues lie.
If you're a fan of Rice Krispie treats, you might be surprised to hear that one of the ingredients may have been grown in Missouri.
Coming in behind Arkansas, California, and Louisiana, you might be surprised to hear that Missouri ranks 4th in rice growing acreage. Third-generation rice farmer Rance Daniels is chair of the Missouri Rice Council and vice chair of the USA Rice Farmers Board. He says farmers grow 2 types of rice in Missouri, long grain and medium grain.
Long grain rice is going to be rice like you have at your Mexican restaurant. They classify it by the length of the grain. And then your medium grain is, think of Rice Krispie cereal or Rice Krispie treats.
Daniels says most of the state's rice is grown south of Cape Girardeau. Jade Aubrey, KMOX News.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement. It's your birthday.
A lot of celebrity birthdays today on this May 28th. Gladys Knight is 82. Rudy Giuliani is 82. John Fogerty is 81. Big John Fogerty fan growing up and still today. Kylie Minogue is 58. Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, is 55.
The birthday shout out is sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back. Happy 4th birthday to Josie Mason from the Springs. And happy 103rd birthday to Willie Benton. She's at Cedarhurst of Waterloo. Barbara Wagner Braunbauer of Granite City. Loretta Klaas of Shrewsbury. And happy birthday wishes going out to Daniela Velasquez and Chris Kerber.
This is the best birthday ever.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. Americans demanded border security, and House Republicans delivered. According to the Department of Homeland Security, for 10 consecutive months, U.S. Customs and Border Protection has reported 0 illegal aliens released at the border. I'm proud to have worked with the Trump administration to secure our southern border and uphold our immigration laws, and will keep fighting to advance strong policies that protect Missourians and keep America safe.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Road trip through America's musical past as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra teams up with the sensational doo-wop project for a night of vintage soul and seamless harmonies. Experience the iconic sounds that shaped American music through the evolution of doo-wop, including favorites like Sherry and Walk Like a Man, along with doo-wopified renditions of modern hits and more. Buckle up for a feel-good celebration that brings generations together, featuring the Doo-Wop Project and your St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Saturday, May 30th at Powell Hall. Tickets on sale now at slso.org.
Chrysalis Biosciences in Sauget, Illinois is hiring for multiple roles. Join a fast-growing ethanol plant transforming renewable energy with competitive pay, benefits, and growth opportunities. Apply today and grow your career with Chrysalis at chrysalisbio.com.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
There's nothing like hearing your friends and family clearly. A grandchild's laugh, conversation with a friend, or the punchline to a joke. Charlie Brennan here with Dr. Colleen Bosler from the Audiology Center. Dr. Bosler and her team understand that hearing is personal. That's why you'll always work with certified audiologists like Adam Voss, Bailey Campbell, and Dr. Colleen Bosler.
That's right, Charlie. We offer hearing aids from all major manufacturers, so our recommendations are based on what fits you best. With us, we follow best practice fitting methods to ensure your hearing aids are programmed precisely for your unique hearing needs. But our care doesn't end when you walk out the door. As we know, hearing aids require continued support, adjustments, and maintenance, and we offer these services at no extra cost to you. Because better hearing isn't just about devices, it's about reconnecting to the moments that matter most. Call us today at 636-441-7470 or visit us online at theaudiologycenterstl.com.
Roger Brand is in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're still busy coming up on 55, Tom, but it's looking better through 141. Just a little busy 141 to the Merrimack. The right lanes are still slow from about Butler Hill up to the 270 exit, but once you get on North 270, it's smooth sailing all the way up to just about 64. It's just slowing briefly at 64 into the work zone at Ladue. Out west, southbound 61, eastbound 64, eastbound 70 look great across the Missouri River bridges out of St. Charles County. And westbound 64 is fine through Fairview Heights and across the bridges downtown as well. Next update at 7:10 from the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Today is Thursday, May 28th. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
I'm Maria Kino.
We received the packet yesterday at 3:48 p.m.
St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer questioning why the police board fails again to provide ample time for a meeting.
I'm Sean Malone. Industry leaders are convinced data centers are an overall net positive for the local communities they pop up in. So how do they convince the public of that? I've got that story coming up.
If you're a fan of Rice Krispie treats, you might be surprised to hear that one of the ingredients might have been grown here in Missouri. I'm Jade Aubrey, and I'll explain more next hour.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. We'll see some sunshine today with a warm afternoon high of 86.
What about the Cardinals? They got swept. Their offense has disappeared. Hopefully it reappears against the Cubs this weekend. Sports in 15 minutes.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
I'm Sherry Preston. The U.S. military this morning is calling it an egregious ceasefire violation. Missiles intercepted by Kuwait, launched by Iran. Worries about the state of the ceasefire sending oil prices up again in early morning trading. Sources tell ABC News the Justice Department is now investigating E. Jean Carroll, the woman who accused President Trump of sexual assault and won a $5 million civil judgment against him. Here's ABC's Alex Mallon.
It's unclear what precedent there is for the Justice Department getting involved in a civil deposition that does not relate in any way to a statement that's related to federal law enforcement. Again, the Justice Department was in no way at any point involved in this lawsuit that was brought by E. Jean Carroll until President Trump sought to have the case dismissed.
9 people are still unaccounted for and presumed dead after the rupture of a chemical tank in Washington state. 2 people are confirmed dead. This is ABC News. Time to get down to business in Texas, where the name calling has already begun in the upcoming Senate race. ABC's Jim Ryan has the latest from Dallas.
His political idol, President Trump, is famous for the insulting nicknames he gives to his opponents. Now, Ken Paxton is trying his hand at it.
Tofu Tallarico, six-gender Jimmy, James Tallarico.
Regarding tofu, James Tallarico responded at a rally in Houston.
I've been eating barbecue since before Ken Paxton's first indictment.
That indictment, by the way, was eventually dismissed. The Tallarico campaign has embraced one of Paxton's insults and is selling T-shirts emblazoned with Tallafrico. Jim Ryan, ABC News in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Temu has been hit with a $232 million fine after European Union investigators found that the Chinese online retailer didn't do enough to protect consumers against harmful content or dodgy goods. And it's ruling the EU writing risk assessments are not box-ticking exercises. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It is 7:02 and it's 67 degrees in downtown St. Louis with partly cloudy skies. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. These are the stories making news.
Yes. Is there a second to that motion?
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
And Commissioner Brown seconds that.
A vote approving the St. Louis Police Department's use of drones. While the police board voted unanimously, Mayor Kara Spencer, who is one of the commissioners, missed the vote because she was attending the East-West Council Gateway of Governments.
This is not the first time the police board has held a meeting with little notice and held it at the same time of East-West Gateway's meeting. And Mayor Spencer voiced her concerns, but St. Louis Police Major Joe Marisi says this drone program has been looked at for over a year, yet it had to be signed immediately.
We've looked at several vendors and we've come up with the best opportunity that we have to enhance public safety for the city.
Well, is there a reason that you haven't included the public or the Board of Police Commissioners in those discussions? The reason I'm asking that, Major, is that while you have been looking at this for a year, I have been looking at this now for 12 hours.
The police commissioners gave no reasonable explanation as to why there was such urgency, especially since the drone program is not going to be released for some time. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
That state-appointed Board of Police Commissioners delivered their response to a subpoena from the Board of Aldermen.
The response did not come from testimony, despite being listed on the agenda, but rather a near 700-page response hand-delivered to the committee members during the meeting. The document outlines their belief the committee lacked the power to subpoena them and said they were invalid for not being hand-delivered. The letter also outlines the process the commissioners took when building their budget request. I asked the city's budget chair, Alderman Rasheen Aldridge, if he attended their budget committee meetings.
A lot of their meetings that they had this last month, budget was meeting every single day, so didn't have like that opportunity. But no, I have not attended theirs.
Aldridge would not rule out escalating his subpoenas to the courts, but did not commit to that action either. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A second person is now charged in the deadly shooting at a North County Steak and Shake drive-thru last month. St. Louis County prosecutors filed first-degree murder charges against 22-year-old Toriana Baker, who was a passenger in the car that pulled up to the Spanish Lake restaurant on April 8th. Baker and the driver, 20-year-old Jada Bell, are accused of opening fire on 32-year-old employee Chauncey Meekins after an argument over an onion ring order. Investigators say they later found the gun used in the shooting and that Baker had purchased it.
A panel discussion about the positives a data center can have on the local economy was hosted by Greater St. Louis Inc. yesterday. But how to convince a skeptic public who wasn't in attendance of the benefits? John Stifler with the St. Louis Building and Construction Trades Council.
Touring these projects change a lot of people's opinion. Digging down into the facts of these projects changes people's opinion. I'm big on the community benefits agreement that we're starting to put in place. They started in Kansas City at the Google plant.
Asked if data centers should allow tours to the general public, not just politicians, he thought that was an outstanding idea. Missouri AFL-CIO President Jake Hummel says politicians need to demand these meetings be kept peaceful while also calling out misinformation.
I talked to elected officials after some of these meetings. I go, can you believe that what was said and that we know that's not true? And I said, why didn't you stop and say, that's absolutely not the case. I just want to point that out. That's not true.
Hummel says politicians shouldn't be afraid to lose their jobs for calling out misinformation.
If you've been waiting for progress on that big Gateway South project south of the Arch, you're going to have to wait a little longer. A city board just gave the developers an extra 3 years to finish the first phase of the construction. They now have until 2032.
Development Board Attorney Mark Spikeman says the timeline had to change after the massive fire destroyed the historic Crundon Martin warehouse last year.
Originally, the Crundon Martin complex was intended to be redeveloped as phase one of the Gateway South. That a lot of that work is now not feasible. So the amount of development expected within phase one has been decreased accordingly, and then some additional time to complete a phase one.
While their deadline has been pushed back, developers say they do plan to break ground on a few new industrial buildings before the end of this year.
A proposal to build Ladou's first ever apartment complex on what is now an active landfill is moving through the city's planning process. Plans for the Rock Hill Quarry site at Ladou's southeast corner call for a 235-unit luxury apartment building, plus 11 custom homes and 31 villas. The Ladou Zoning and Planning Commission held its first review last night and took no action.
The city argues the impact on the Ladou School District will be limited since most of the apartments would be one bedroom and the villas are aimed at empty nesters. Ted White, a real estate agent who lives nearby, isn't so sure.
At $4,000 a month, that is luxury apartments. But I can see that you will have some people, it's less expensive than buying a home in Ladou. And if you want to be in the Ladou School District, I can see people wanting to rent there to get their kids in, the Ladou School District.
The plan returns to Ladou's Planning Commission June 24th.
From the KMOX Business Desk, sports tourism is definitely an economic generator for the city. That's what O'Fallon, Illinois Mayor Eric Van Hook says, as city officials released the number of visitors who attended games last year at the O'Fallon Family Sports Park, more than 1.6 million.
Now, O'Fallon leaders are considering building a $20 million field house that could host sporting events year-round. Van Hook tells KSDK they're thinking 8 basketball courts and 16 volleyball courts. The city is determining the scope of the project and want to ensure it can be funded without raising taxes.
We'll check sports in 7 minutes. Traffic and weather next. It's 7:08.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767.
Right now, inflation is squeezing budgets, and global events can shake up the markets overnight. If you're close to retirement, you don't get unlimited do-overs, so this is not the time to just hope it works out. That's why Steve Auld and the team at the All Financial Group are hosting an upcoming educational seminar called Retirement Simplified, June 16th at the All Financial Group office. You'll learn how rising costs could drain your spending power, how political and economic headlines may impact your returns, and whether your retirement strategy is truly stress tested for today's economy. This event is complimentary and you must reserve your seat today. 636-230-8824. You can also get more details online at yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, or registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions. The All Financial Group is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the U.S. government or any other government agency.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
7:10 and time for Roger Brand. He's got his sunglasses on in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, it's a nice morning out there, Debbie. As you're driving into work, it's easy going. On the south side to where we had the really big jams early on, it's not bad right now. The right lane's a little slow, north 55, just north of Butler Hill up to the north 270 exit and getting onto north 270. Some slow stuff through the Tees Road overpass up to about Tesson Ferry. After that, it's wide open, just a little slow as you approach 64 into that work zone between 64 and Ladue. Out west, we're still okay. Southbound 61, eastbound 64 and 70. The one's still split across the Missouri River bridges. I'm not seeing any issues there. Downtown, westbound 64 coming through Fairview Heights looks fine. It's just a little slow right as you approach the 70 split, but once you make your pick, 70 or 64, from that point, it's a great run headed across the Poplar and Mutual Veterans Bridges. Just seeing a little bit of a delay. Route 3 at Queenie right now. It doesn't really look bad really anywhere on these interstates for the most part. Everything's good to go. Next update is 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Let's check in with AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
KMOX AccuWeather. After some morning fog patches, we'll see some sunshine today. A warm afternoon with a high of 86. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight, low 67. Tomorrow, clouds and limited sun and not as warm. There may be an afternoon thunderstorm, a high 81. For Saturday, intervals of clouds and sun. There can be a shower or thunderstorm in the area, the high 82. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We have a mostly cloudy sky, 68 degrees downtown at the Arch.
It is 7:12. There are new developments in the massive settlement proposal surrounding Roundup. Bayer proposed $7.25 billion in Roundup settlements, but it's facing its first formal objections. We get more from KMOX's legal analyst, Brad Young.
Part of this settlement also applies to people who have not yet contracted non-Hodgkin's lymphoma from allegedly from using Roundup. So the question is this violate constitutional due process protections for people not yet injured?
Young joins Total Information AM every Wednesday morning.
You can now add a blood test to your colon cancer screening options. KMOX Health Editor Fred Bottomer reports.
New guidelines from the American Cancer Society have added an in-office blood test as a new option for colorectal cancer screening if you want to skip the colonoscopy or a stool test. ABC News correspondent Morgan Norwood.
The American Cancer Society still stresses that colonoscopies remain the gold standard and that these new blood tests are really intended for people who are unwilling or unable to complete other types of screening options.
Right now, about 1 in 3 eligible adults are not up to date on their colon cancer screening. Colorectal cancer is now the leading cancer killer of men under 50 and the second leading cancer killer of women under 50. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
A new study is being used to educate local parents about the need to use sunscreen on their kids.
A survey by Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago reveals that only 42% of Illinois parents always apply sunscreen when their child goes outdoors in the summer, and 11% of parents never do. Dr. Anthony Massini at Lurie's Hospital says parents applying sunscreen on their children before they go outdoors in summer should be as routine as having kids brush their teeth. Roger Plummer, News Radio, 105.9 WBBM.
Can you get a vehicle for your teenager that is both safe and affordable? Autobeat reporter Jeff Gilbert has the answer.
Yes, you can find a good vehicle for your teenagers, says Consumer Reports, as well as the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. They're out with a new list of safest cars for teens. Rebecca Wiest is a research scientist with the Insurance Institute.
We look for vehicles that are kind of in the Goldilocks range of sizes, nothing too small or too big. Think like a couple small, mid-size, large cars or small to mid-size SUVs.
There are vehicles in a lot of price categories on the list.
They are national champions for the 10th time. The Flying Salukis of SIU Carbondale, the nationally recognized aviation team, beat the second-place University of North Dakota by 57 points over the weekend to win the 2026 National Collegiate Aviation Championship. 32 teams competed. The Flying Salukis have finished in the top 5 in the National Intercollegiate Flying Association 17 straight times.
Cut of the game sponsored by the Diamond Shop. The diamondshop.net's got to be this.
On 3-2 with 2 outs, here's May's pitch. Ground ball up the middle, headed towards center. Picked by Wynn, who throws low. Picked by Burleson. What a play on both ends, and Frelick is out number 3 in the 5th. Outstanding play on both ends. Put a star on that one on both ends. Win and at first base for Burleson.
John Rooney, Ricky Horton on KMOX to save the no-hitter for Dustin May. He went into the 8th inning, no-hitting the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Cardinals still lost. They fell 2-1 on the road yesterday, getting swept in the series. We should be talking about May, who had a phenomenal game. Instead, we're talking about the lack of offense. Cardinals scored 1 run in the first game, no runs in the second game, 1 run in the third game. That's a total of 2 in 3 games. That's how they got swept. They're 4.5 out in the NL Central as they host the Cubs this weekend. Let's take a listen to Kevin Wheeler on the Redbird Rush Hour.
But if they had won the game, it probably is more of that. But you got swept. You blew a late lead. You weren't able to get anything done today. And today, look, Aaron Ashby's tough, right? McGill's got great stuff. I understand the latter part of that game. And Patrick is good too, but he's not been super good this year.
You faced him earlier this year, had no problem
and had
against
no
him.
problem with him. Because the last 2 days, you knew you were going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
You knew you were going to have a hard time with Mizorowski. And coming into yesterday, Kyle Harrison had a 1.77 ERA and what was like 11 strikeouts per 9.
And it was 0.96 in his last 5 going into yesterday.
Right. So, like, we knew the first 2 days were going to be hard. You love to scratch a couple out, but you knew the first 2 days were going to be hard. This was the one where you had a better chance to get some offense and you didn't get any.
Yeah, and you go 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They out-hit the Brewers today 8-3. But they go, that's the number. If you want to pull one number off a box score, that's the reason that you lost. They go 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm going to give you a pass on Mizorowski.
I will too.
I'm going to give you a little bit of a pass on Harrison, but not total.
Yeah, and also they faced 3 relief pitchers after Harrison was done, and they didn't do anything
and
against
they didn't
either.
do anything against them. They had a little rally against Uribe, but didn't end up capitalizing. And a rally, it was a walk and a single. But the bat and this is the thing. If it was just this series, the bats probably aren't a big story because of who you faced. You faced really good pitching in this series.
But it has slowly deteriorated the Cardinals' offense. We'll see if it can revive this weekend against the Cubs. We'll have the first game for you tomorrow night at 6:15. Bernie Miklasz joins me on the Gas House Gang today at noon. You don't think he'll have something to say about not only that, but how Ollie Marmol handled the Abner Uribe situation and the signs that he thought were being relayed back and forth? I'm not sure Bernie loved the way that all went down. Do not miss today's Gas House Gang at noon. I'll just say that. The Stanley Cup final. It is one half there. We know the Vegas Golden Knights are there, and we're almost there with the East. It was Carolina defeating Montreal yesterday 4-0 to go up 3-1 in that series. In the NBA, Oklahoma City visits San Antonio tonight up 3-2. They'll try to get that win so they can face the Knicks in the NBA Finals. I'm Tom Ackerman on the home of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM KMOX.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mizzou football will be here before you know it. Join us for the 100th anniversary of Memorial Stadium with season tickets. Join the season ticket waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist and get ready to lock in tickets for 2026. The home schedule is highlighted by games against Florida, Texas A&M, Texas, Kentucky, and Oklahoma. Don't wait to reserve your spot. Join the waitlist at mutigers.com/FB waitlist. MIZ.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Ann Wagner from Missouri's 2nd District. I work every day to put more money in your pocket, secure the border, protect our shared Missouri values, and keep our communities safe. Whether it's visiting one of my public events in neighborhoods around the district or by contacting my office, I want to hear from you. If you need help with a federal agency, please contact me at wagner.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
7:21 and time for Roger Brand to tell you more about your ride in. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, the right lanes are a little busy north 55 as you get on to north 270. Once you get on there, you have slow stuff from Tesson Ferry most of the way to Gravois, Doherty Ferry most of the way to Manchester, and a couple of spots from Clayton Road up through 64 where it's off the pace. Never a jam, though. Southbound 61 just a little busy crossing over onto eastbound 64. But once you do that, it's a good run on 64 all the way in through 270 and the Interbelt, really. Eastbound 70, seeing some slow traffic from the Blanchette Bridge through our city. We had an incident. I see a car on the right shoulder east of there. It may have been a stall in the traffic lanes initially. And there's more volume westbound 64 now. Slow traffic from 159 about 3/4 of the way down the hill toward 157. Also had reports of injury crashes. I'm not seeing delays, though. Southbound 367 north of 270 and southbound our city just north of Highway 70. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says partly sunny today, warm this afternoon, high 86, low 67 tonight. Not as warm tomorrow and a chance of a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, a high of 81. Currently, it's 67 degrees downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 7:22. St. Louis Lambert Airport set to receive a $30 million grant today from the FAA that aims to complete the Consolidated Terminal project, replacing aging infrastructure and more. Airport officials say that project should support 40 million travelers at the airport.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's flight landed in Rome early this morning ahead of his scheduled meeting this weekend with Pope Leo XIV. WBBM political editor Jeff Buckholtz reports on the mayor's goals for the trip to the Vatican.
Values and our shared belief in human dignity.
The mayor says he'll focus on those uniting factors for his scheduled meeting Saturday with the Pope-born Robert Prevost in Chicago.
I'm going to talk about how the pulpit and the pen have to come together to deliver justice for our most vulnerable.
The pen to which he's referring is his own, signing executive orders and legislation. The mayor will be with a delegation on the trip paid for by World Business Chicago, which is the city's public-private economic development agency. And yes, there's been a lot of talk about what he'll be bringing for the Pope.
He's going to get a plethora of gifts. I would be curious to see how his gift closet compares to mine.
The mayor says he's joking, and not just because the Roman Catholic Church has a 2,000-year head start. We're at City Hall. Jeff Buckles, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
Retiring Illinois Senator Dick Durbin recalled one of the highlights of his 6 decades of public service during a tribute in his honor at the state capitol in Springfield, Illinois. We get more from Jeff Buckles.
As recently as the 90s, airline passengers used to hear this.
You may smoke on those flights where smoking is permitted, only if seated in the smoking sections.
It's crazy, right? And during his speech to a joint session of the legislature, Dick Durbin recalled the moment he'd had enough when a gate agent in Phoenix told him the only seat on the last flight to Chicago was in the smoking section.
Sat in that center seat between 2 chain-smoking sumo wrestlers. I thought to myself, there's got to be a better way. So I went on to introduce banning smoking on airplanes.
The proposal encountered turbulence. The tobacco lobby was powerful, but when the bill got to the floor, Durbin realized he had leverage with his congressional colleagues.
This was the largest frequent flyer club in America, and they were sick and tired of smoke on airplanes.
And the ban was cleared for takeoff.
Opponents of a ballot issue that would make it harder for citizens to change the Missouri Constitution call the measure a power grab by politicians.
If even one congressional district votes no, it vetoes it for the entire state. 1 vote vetoes 7. That is a remarkably absurd high standard. No other state does that.
Spokesman for the State Realtors Back Committee, Scott Charton, says that's a higher bar for citizens than for lawmakers. Missourians have used the initiative process to legalize marijuana, expand Medicaid eligibility, raise the minimum wage, and guarantee abortion rights.
High-tech devices available to the public are being used by terrorists to carry out attacks. That's according to a witness at a recent U.S. House Intelligence Committee hearing. Bruce Hoffman with the Council on Foreign Relations told Missouri Congresswoman Ann Wagner about how smart glasses were used in the 2025 New Year's Day terror attack in New Orleans.
Carry out surveillance, for example, and record surreptitiously. So he wasn't holding up his iPhone or holding up a camera. He just had eyeglasses that he could use.
He also testified that terrorists and enemy combatants can use publicly available data online to plot attacks.
Certainly the availability of open source material to carry out intelligence and reconnaissance in a detailed fashion from one's desktop.
During the hearing, Wagner said it's vital to national security that America's intelligence community be improved to handle the ocean of raw data growing exponentially each day.
Did you know that Missouri rice farmers produce some of the most rice in the nation?
Out of all the U.S. states, Missouri ranks 4th in the amount of acreage dedicated to rice farming. Rance Daniels is a 3rd-generation rice farmer, chair of the Missouri Rice Council, and vice chair of the USA Rice Farmers Board. He says Missouri farmers mostly grow long-grain rice at farms south of Cape Girardeau.
Half the rice is used here domestically and consumed here domestically, in restaurants, grocery stores, and then half of our markets are international markets.
Daniels says most of Missouri's exported rice goes to Mexico, Central America, Haiti, and Canada. Jade Aubrey, KMOX News.
The headliner for the FIFA Fan Fest in Kansas City will be Missouri native and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Sheryl Crow. Set against the backdrop of the National World War I Museum and Memorial, there will be space for up to 25,000 fans. It's on July 10th, the night before the World Cup quarterfinal match at Kansas City Stadium. Other acts include Flo Rida, All-American Rejects, Gabby Barrett, and the Chainsmokers. Fans can visit kc2026.com to register for up to 6 free general admission passes.
It's 7:27. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
For decades, Morgan & Morgan has represented hundreds of thousands of people
at their hour of need. Injuries on the job, car crashes, medical malpractice, and nursing home abuse, Social Security claims, dangerous drugs, and dangerous products. We became America's largest injury firm for a reason, and no firm is even close. Then we got to thinking, what if we could prevent these terrible events before they occurred? So we built the AI-powered People Protector. Simply visit peopleprotector.com and type in the product you have questions about before you buy it. Children's toys and accessories, cars, drugs, products, you name it, we got it. With our success, we decided to pay it forward for all of America. Our way of saying thank you for your trust all these years. Morgan & Morgan, protecting America. And if you've already been injured, just visit us at forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Save big money at Menards and be prepared for the summer heat with an air conditioner from Denali Air. Denali Air units are an affordable option to cool any room in your home. They're easy to install and help remove humidity. Plus, they feature easy-to-use controls so you can keep your living spaces comfortable. Save big on Denali Air. Check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
Save big money at Menards.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. It's a great time to buy a brand new home, and the Reserve at Wildwood is where you want to be. Park-like setting with front porches on every home, connected trails for exploring, walk to Main Street and Wildwood Town Center, top-rated Rockwood schools, and legendary McKelvey quality you can count on, featuring James Hardy siding. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and learn what makes the Reserve so special. It's time to move up to McKelvey.
Ready for a fresh start? The Excel Center in St. Louis is here to help you earn your high school diploma, tuition-free and on your schedule. With convenient locations in downtown St. Louis and Florissant, you can learn at your pace, with support every step of the way. Need childcare, career coaching, flexible classes? We've got you covered. Registration is now open. Don't wait to take the next step toward your future. Visit excel.mersgoodwill.org to enroll today. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
It is 7:30 and it looks nice out the windows here of Studio B right now. We've got partly cloudy skies, 68 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Roger Brand, where are all the cars out there? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's a few of them starting to back up or bog down, at least, Tom, on eastbound 70 approaching 5th Street in through our city. We have a crash. It looks like it's at the end of the Cloverleaf ramp from southbound Earth City getting onto eastbound 70 or 141 getting onto eastbound 70 there. Emergency crews on the scene on that ramp. That may have been the initial call out that I heard that was southbound on Earth City Expressway before 70. So that's the situation. Traffic is starting to back up a little bit there. If you're on northbound 270, it's definitely busier. A little slowdown north of 55. Midway up to Tesson Ferry, Sappington to Gravois, Big Bend all the way up to Ladue is busy. Never a jam, but it is slow. Eastbound 64 and southbound 61 look great out west, and it looks great on 64 both directions through the Innerbelt. Northbound 55 looks good coming through 141 out of Arnold and into downtown. Westbound 64 better than it was, just a little slowdown briefly west of 159. And you're still clear across the Poplar and Musel Veterans Bridges. Next update at 7:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Weather-wise, we're going to have partly sunny skies for much of the day. It's going to be 86 degrees. Tomorrow, a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon. Otherwise, more clouds and sun and a high of 81. It's 68 degrees right now.
If you see a large police and first responder presence today on Tom Jennifer Avenue, don't worry, it's just a drill. O'Fallon police say more than 250 police, fire, EMS, and other emergency response personnel will be participating in a full-scale emergency response exercise today. Between 12:30 and 4 p.m., crews will engage in what the department calls a high-stress real-world simulation at the Fort Zumwalt School District Professional Development Center.
I want to clear the record on something. This is a contract before that would have been signed, and the public would have not known on it.
St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners attorney Chris Gravel trying to justify signing a contract yesterday for a drone program that has been looked at for more than a year. It had to be signed immediately, however, and the board couldn't wait for Mayor Kara Spencer to finish a meeting at the East-West Gateway Council of Governments.
Chris Gravel says this opportunity to sign the drone deal came up late last week.
Through some efforts of Major Morisi, something they've been working on and looking at for a long period of time. The reason we had an emergency meeting and discussing it with the chief's office and everybody else was because we felt it was very important to be transparent.
But in fact, the Board of Police Commissioners did not notify Mayor Kara Spencer until Tuesday, and this isn't the first time they have done this.
With all due respect, under previous arrangements, as you referenced, our city attorneys would review the contract as well.
Which I have,
And
as I review all contracts for the board.
I said our city attorneys would have reviewed the contract, Mr. Gravel, and that didn't happen in this case. There should have been, in my opinion, more discussions within the police board and more notice than 24 hours for a matter of this importance.
Maria Kina, KMOX News.
The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. It's 7:33, your Money Minute next.
All access with Ollie Marble on the Gas House Gang.
I show up every day looking forward to what's next for this group. This group fits my personality to a T. I love what we're doing. I love how we're going about it. I love the honest conversations. I love the grit. And there's been certain times where I've caught myself where bases are loaded, our backs up against the wall, and I can't help but smile. I show up every day looking forward to what's next for this group.
Ollie Marble, Tuesdays at noon on KMOX.
In a world in need of a hero, one man rises to the challenge in style. He is...
just driving the kids to soccer practice.
Make every day feel epic in the all-new Hyundai Palisade Hybrid with up to an EPA estimated 619 miles of range on select trims, advanced tech, and class-leading interior space. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
And hey, come on, no cleats on the seats.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
In the military, the mission was clear. You knew what to do. Now, the mission has changed. Stepping into civilian life isn't about finding a job. It's finding your purpose.
I wanted a career that would leverage the skills and discipline I gained in the military. IT just felt right.
My Computer Career offers class schedules that fit into your life and skills in high demand. Put your VA benefits to work. Visit mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to jumpstart your IT career today. An elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
It's 7:35 and time for your money report, sponsored by Busey Bank.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Shares of Snowflake surging this morning. The software maker gave a stronger than expected financial outlook for the year. Plus, the company signed a $6 billion multi-year agreement to use Amazon's cloud services and chips. Snowflake develops software that helps organize, analyze, and store corporate data in the cloud, and it's weaving artificial intelligence through its platform. Renewed tensions in the Middle East is threatening the fragile ceasefire. Yesterday, the S&P 500 closed little changed. This morning, traders are continuing to watch the headlines out of the Persian Gulf. S&P futures are down 8 points. Dow futures are falling 50. And global investments in oil projects are due to fall for a third year in a row. According to the International Energy Agency, spending on crude projects is set to drop below $500 billion in 2026. The near closure of the Strait of Hormuz has forced companies to rethink their energy investment strategies. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Since we opened our doors in 1868, Busey has fostered deep customer relationships and vibrant communities, embodying a legacy of partnership and progress. With multiple lines of business, we provide a range of financial solutions tailored to your needs. From digital banking to planning for retirement, Busey is here to help you achieve your financial goals. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Lombardo Homes is known for quality, luxury, and thoughtful design in some of the area's most desirable communities. This season, we're continuing a limited spring opportunity, offering select enhancements designed to elevate your home and your experience. From a finished basement recreation room to premium kitchen and cabinet upgrades, or flexible options like design credits or closing cost savings. These offers are available in select communities for a limited time. Visit lombardohomes.com or stop by a sales office today.
People who know me well know that I watch a lot of animal videos, especially dog videos. I love the ones where the dog is, getting rescued and finds his forever home and is happy forever after with his family. It's great escapism, but also happens every day right here in the St. Louis region, thanks to the Humane Society of Missouri. So hopefully you are a fan and a supporter of the Humane Society, and you can help in so many ways, like adopting a pet from the Humane Society. My Lola is a Humane Society doggie. She was rescued by their Animal Cruelty Task Force from a puppy mill in Douglas County, and she is the love of my life. But there's so many other ways that you can help the Humane Society, and some of them are great fun, like the upcoming Purses for Pooches event. They do this every year, and I've had the opportunity to go several times. It's at the Humane Society on Mackland. And yes, there are designer handbags like you would not believe. Louis Vuitton's, Gucci's, Jimmy Choo's, some that are unbelievable in that they are rare. And you can get your raffle tickets. There's hors d'oeuvres and cocktails. It's really a fun night. And again, just another fun way to help support the great work of the Humane Society of Missouri. Go to hsmo.org for more information.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group focus on those things and more. Their goal is to help you achieve your goals. Call 636-230-8824 or online, yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
The final home game of the season is here, St. Louis. Your St. Louis Battlehawks hit the field Friday, May 29th at 7 p.m. against the Dallas Renegades at the Dome at America Center. It's Battlehawk Kids Day, packed with family fun, Battlehawks energy, and an Archie bobblehead giveaway while supplies last. Join Battlehawks Nation. Bring the whole crew and help close out the season the only way St. Louis knows how. Loud and proud. Caw-caw. Because caw is the law. Get tickets starting at just $18 at UFLBattlehawks.com or Ticketmaster.
Get inside your Redbirds in the 2026 season every Tuesday at noon. It's All Access with Cardinals manager Ollie Marmol on your voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Should be an interesting conversation with Bernie Miklasz today on the Gas House Gang about everything that went down with the Brewers and Ollie Marmol over this past series. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, this jam is getting worse on eastbound Highway 70. We've had two different incidents. The last one I was watching was the ramp from southbound Earth City Expressway onto eastbound 70, just off at the shoulder of the highway there. And the other crash that they dispatched for is, I thought it was one and the same, but it's actually two separate ones. This one's blocking the left lane eastbound 70, just east of the Blanchette Bridge. So as a result, traffic is jamming, approaching Highway 94 up to that scene just east of the bridge. A lot of volume on North C70. Sappington Road overpass through Gravois, and then 44 all the way up to Ladue. North 55 looks good, though, from Festus all the way into downtown. Eastbound 64, just a brief slowdown through Hanley, so that doesn't look bad. South 270, 364 down to Ladue is fine. And on the Illinois side, westbound 64 is just slow. The 70 split to 3rd Street, and then approaching Route 3, a little bit of a backup as you get across the Poplar Street Bridge. Next update at 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 7:41, and it looks like we have a few more clouds now in downtown St. Louis. Saw a lot of blue sky not too long ago. I guess that's how today's going to be. Let's check in right now with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg.
Yeah, most of these clouds, Debbie, are mid and high level clouds, so they're not really blocking the sun. So at times it's going to feel very bright, and other times a little duller, but the sun will be seen a good bit of the day regardless. And it's going to be warm this afternoon. We'll get to 86 with fairly light winds, then partly to mostly cloudy tonight, those 67. A bit more in the way of cloudiness, a bit less in the way of sunshine tomorrow. Will be a little cooler too at 81. And I can't rule out a thunderstorm in the afternoon. I think it's real spotty in nature and most likely south and west of the city. Saturday, clouds and sun again. Could be a shower or thunderstorm in a few places. Our high 82. The farther north and east you go, the drier it's going to be. Sunday looks partly sunny, the high 84, and some sunshine Monday. Highs in the low to mid 80s. Right now, 68 at St. Peter, 71 in Florissant, 71 with some sunshine downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
Joe, thank you. Sports in 3 minutes at 7:42. President Trump has vowed to keep the Ebola outbreak, now ravaging parts of Central Africa, away from the United States. ABC's Faith Aubrey explains how the Trump administration plans to carry it out.
The White House saying Americans exposed to the virus in the DRC will be sent to a health facility in Kenya for monitoring instead of being flown back to the U.S. But the Union for the U.S. Foreign Service pushing back, calling the decision a stark departure from prior outbreaks where Americans were repatriated and monitored at specialized U.S. treatment facilities.
The newly minted Texas Republican nominee and his Democratic opponent have begun their respective campaigns to take the Senate seat currently occupied by John Cornyn. We get more from ABC's Jim Ryan.
His political idol, President Trump, is famous for the insulting nicknames he gives to his opponents. Now, Ken Paxton is trying his hand at it.
Tofu Tallarico, six-gender Jimmy, James Tallarico.
Regarding tofu, James Tallarico responded at a rally in Houston.
I've been eating barbecue since before Ken Paxton's first indictment.
That indictment, by the way, was eventually dismissed. The Tallarico campaign has embraced one of Paxton's insults and is selling T-shirts emblazoned with Tallafrico. Jim Ryan, ABC News in Dallas-Fort Worth.
The Justice Department has opened a criminal investigation into E. Jean Carroll, the woman who won civil judgments against President Trump for sexual abuse and defamation. Here's ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce with details.
Sources tell ABC News the investigation is allegedly centered around whether Carroll committed perjury during her civil lawsuits against Trump. Carroll was awarded a $5 million civil judgment in 2023 that found Trump liable for sexually abusing her in a department store dressing room in the mid-1990s and defaming her.
There is anger among visitors to Yosemite National Park after the Park Service got rid of a reservation system.
Crowds are flooding into Yosemite. The Park Service eliminated a reservation system to visit the park, and now lines to get in have been hours long. And social media videos have shown huge crowds all over the trails and rocks. Alfonso Saldana visited over the weekend and says it was like an amusement park. It was chaotic.
More people, more lines.
The National Parks Conservation Association says the instant surge is unlikely to ease, and the association is telling people to avoid weekends. And Yosemite Valley, the park's most popular area. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Ins and Outs, sponsored by Innsbrook Resort, where every day is the weekend. A lot of things happened in that Milwaukee series. One, the Cardinals were beaten by maybe the best pitcher in baseball, Jacob Misiorowski, in the first game. Only scored a run, got struck out 12 times, lost that ball game. Second game, shutout. Kyle Harrison, the lefty, big part of that. Cardinals offense, non-existent there. Third game, offense still couldn't get it done, lost 2-1. Probably should have gotten after the bullpen start a little bit better, but couldn't and could not support Dustin May, who carried a no-hitter into the eighth inning. The Cardinals were 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position yesterday. The other thing that happened in that series, a 3-game sweep by the Brewers, putting them 4.5 games in front of the Cardinals, is the whole back and forth between the Cardinals and Brewers over signs, over a gesture made by the Brewers pitcher, Abner Uribe. Here's former Cardinal A.J. Pierzynski. We've talked about this a lot locally. How does it look from a national perspective? Pierzynski is a co-host of Foul Territory.
His side of the story was that they thought they were relaying signs from the dugout to the hitters and people on the field. He said he doesn't know, but he said there was people that were suspicious of something somebody was doing in their dugout.
This is Pierzynski talking about Cardinals manager Ollie Marmol.
He yelled over, "Hey, stop doing that. That's how someone gets hurt." That's what led to this, because apparently Uribe heard through the grapevine that they yelled out, Christian Yelich and Contreras are going to get hit, which Ollie says he never said. Nobody said. Nobody said anything like that. He just said, hey, you guys need to stop. That's how you get somebody hurt. Like the old school, when we talk about guys out there at second base, jumping around, like showing off pitches and this and that. That was how somebody used to get hit. All he said, which I agreed with. If I was in the other dugout and there was a coach or somebody that we thought was giving signs, the first thing he said was, you're going to get somebody hurt. Cut that crap out now. And they usually did. And if they didn't, then somebody got smoked. And then the guy who got smoked went to the person in the bench or on second base, like, hey man, cut it. That junk hurts when I get hit. So, but that doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't. And we'll talk about it more with Bernie Miklas on the Gas House Gang today. I'll be in with Bernie today at noon, a full hour of baseball talk and this entire situation. Plus, we will preview the Cardinals and the Cubs tomorrow. It's a 6:15 start on Friday night. The Cardinals 4.5 games out in the Central, and so are the Cubs, although that will change because the Cubs play a game today against Paul Skeens and the Pittsburgh Pirates. More baseball news yesterday in that there is some movement now between the union and the owners. Players are seeking expanded free agency and salary arbitration rights. They also want to nearly double the major league minimum salary and increase revenue sharing among teams. The union presented these proposals yesterday, a day before Major League Baseball is expected to suggest a salary cap. The current labor contract expires December 1st, and a lockout is anticipated. MLB opposes the union's proposals, arguing they worsen competitive balance issues. Players propose increased revenue sharing to guarantee small market clubs a minimum of $240 million annually. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Eastern Conference Final, it's now a 3-1 lead for Carolina. They beat Montreal on the road last night 4-0. I'm Tom Ackerman. Our favorite place to vacation is Innsbruck, Innsbruck-resort.com. Love Innsbruck. It's a great place, Innsbruck-resort.com. I'm feeling it this summer. It's going to be a great weekend when we get out there and enjoy fishing, hiking, swimming, relaxing, maybe a little drink by the fire pit late at night, perhaps a fireworks display over Lake Aspen. I mean, it is just an incredible place. They have over 100 lakes there. They have 7,500 acres there. I mean, it just goes on and on. It's just a phenomenal place to relax and unwind. It's Innsbruck. Find your favorite little spot in Innsbruck. There's a lot to choose from at Innsbruck-resort.com. Now for our parlay of the day, sponsored by Circus Sports. Sports betting the way it should be. I think I like the Spurs minus 3.5 at home tonight in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. Oklahoma City is up 3-2, but I think the Spurs push that to a Game 7, and I think they cover the 3.5. I tried to tell you earlier about the Knicks. They were plus 540 when I told you they're going to win the NBA championship. It's now down to plus 220. Still think that's pretty good, though. Spurs are plus 540, by the way. I would say the Knicks plus 220 is a better deal. That's our parlay of the day from Circus Sports. Sports betting the way it should be.
Hey, Missouri, it's game time. Start betting like a pro with the world's largest sports book at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens. I'm a lifelong sports bettor, and I'm the owner of Circus Sports. It's sports betting the way it should be, with high limits, player-friendly pricing, exceptional customer service, and more. Download your new bookie at circusports.com. The action starts now, Missouri. Experience the difference with Circus Sports. Bet like a pro.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tarps Off Mania is sweeping Cardinals Nation. But before you take your shirt off, make sure it's a shirt worth taking off. Friday before Cards and Cubs at Busch, the DGS broadcasts live from patios starting at 3 p.m., counting down to first pitch. And Rally House will be on site with gear so good, you might actually want to keep your shirt on. It's your city. It's your house. It's Rally House with DGS live from patios Friday, May 29th. Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM KMOX. Now the news at 1 the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
7:52 and time for Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
LW, the fire department just went back in service, but the police are still on the scene of this crash. We had eastbound 70 east of the Blanchette Bridge. It looks like the left lane's still blocked, or at least partially blocked. Traffic is jammed back pretty close to Zumbel. In fact, they were reporting a crash near 94 in the left lane. I can't see it, but delays again just east of Zumbel all the way across the Blanchette Bridge, just bumper to bumper on eastbound 70 right now. Northbound 270 looking a little better, but it's still slow. 44 up to Manchester, and then north of there up to Ladue, still busy. Eastbound 64 approaching 170 to Hanley's heavy. Westbound 64 Clayton Skinker out to Big Bend is kind of busy. North 55 looks good. Festus all the way into downtown, and downtown westbound 64 coming through the 70 split to 3rd Street, and west of there to Route 3, a couple of slower spots, but it's not a jam. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Pretty good forecast, Roger. We have a warm day today, a high of 86. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low 67. Tomorrow, maybe a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, but otherwise not as warm, and a high of 81 degrees. We're starting to warm up now with the sun out in downtown St. Louis. We are up to 70 degrees.
It's 7:53 and tensions are escalating in the Middle East, with Iran threatening to attack an American airbase in the region after the United States announces new airstrikes on Iran. But GOP leadership focused on the home front.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune, in a radio interview, said Republicans will need to focus on Americans' economic concerns ahead of November's election. Those concerns backed by new data showing food insecurity in the U.S. now worse than during the height of the COVID pandemic. 1 in 10 households nationwide are now missing meals because of a lack of food, up from 4% in 2020. And nearly 1 in 6 are now relying on food donations.
That's ABC's Sophie Flay.
Political pressures in the U.S. could put new trade negotiations with Canada and Mexico on the fast track, and the auto industry is watching. Jeff Gilbert has more from Detroit.
Detroit's car makers have a lot riding on the renegotiation of the USMCA free trade agreement this summer. Mike Robinette, who heads the forecasting team at S&P Global Mobility, says tariffs are a virtual certainty.
It will be very difficult to probably skirt the need by the Americans to have some level of a tariff of vehicles built in Canada or Mexico being brought into the United States.
Robinette tells the Automotive Press Association the most likely scenario is a deal by September so that the negotiations don't get in the way of the midterm elections.
More controversy involving prediction markets. ABC's Jim Ryan says a Google employee is charged with making wagers using inside information.
On December 4th, Google announced the name of the most searched person of 2025. Before that, prosecutors say Michelle Spagnuolo bet on Polymarket that it would be the singer David, who spells his name with a 4 instead of an A. He was right and netted $1.2 million. But as an information security engineer at Google, Spagnuolo already knew the answer. He's been charged with money laundering, commodities fraud, and wire fraud. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
We'll go in depth on this topic coming up at 8:24.
There are new developments in a massive settlement proposal surrounding Roundup weed killer. Bayer's proposed $7.25 billion Roundup settlement is facing its first formal objections. KMOX legal analyst Brad Young.
Part of this settlement also applies to people who have not yet contracted non-Hodgkin's lymphoma from allegedly from using Roundup. So the question is this violate constitutional due process protections for people not yet injured?
Young joins Total Information AM every Wednesday morning to discuss compelling legal cases.
It is now 7:56.
I'm Frank Ladd. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Gamma Tree experts. Your trees deserve the best care. GammaTree.com. Whether it comes to a storm that you have to call them, or you have looked at your trees and one of them looks like it's dying, or you just have questions about a tree, or you want to cut some limbs back, or anything regarding trees, just have Tim Gamma, Tom Gamma, or any of their fine staff take a little walk around the yard and just check it all out for you first. That's peace of mind. Once you have Gamma Tree experts involved, peace of mind, no doubt about it. Now you know that those living assets, your trees, are going to be well taken care of. Gamma Tree Experts has been doing it for a long, long time. Since 1954, homes and businesses throughout the St. Louis area have benefited from the experts, Gamma Tree experts. You can see all that they do at gammatree.com. That's gammatree.com. Gamma Tree experts. Your trees deserve the best care.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. Cantor is local, and we're here doing the work every day. We're right here in St. Louis, and we're ready to fight for you. CantorInjuryLaw.com or call 314-628-9999.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
The financial industry is getting rich on baby boomers. Don't be their next victim. Find out the truth of what's really going on in the retirement industry. Join Greg Ayler Saturdays at 1 on Fire Your Financial Advisor.
Let's check in with Roger Brand. He joins us from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, they're still out here on eastbound 70 just east of the Blanchette Bridge off to the left-hand side from an earlier crash. Traffic is bumper to bumper from Zumbel into there. 370 is a little slow west of 94 to the Discovery Bridge. Northbound 270, 44 to 64 slow. Eastbound 64 heavy past the Interbelt. Westbound 64, Hampton through Big Bend is off the pace as well. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Illinois lawmakers approved new protections for homeowners and drivers facing spikes in insurance. I'm Tom Ackerman. Find out more next hour from Megan Lynch on Total Information AM.
I'm Debbie Monterrey. A Google employee is accused of using inside information to play the prediction markets. We'll go in depth at 8:24.
Find out why some colleges are now offering 3-year degrees.
This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg. A warm day today with a mix of clouds and sun and a high of 86.
We are almost at capacity for our round table tonight, just about at our 500 where we're going to cap it. At the Beer Garden at Anheuser-Busch with Matt Adams, Al Roboski, and Ozzie Smith. I'm Tom Ackerman. Bernie Miklasz joins me at noon on the Gas House Gang.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The U.S. military says an overnight attack by Iran targeting Kuwait is an egregious violation of the ceasefire in the Middle East. A federal judge has declined to block an executive order by President Trump that would limit mail-in voting. The judge says the suit was filed too early since the administration hasn't moved to implement that order yet. A Google engineer now accused of using insider information to make bets on a prediction market that won him over $1 million. ABC's Aaron Katursky.
Google says he may have had access to the confidential, non-public information as part of his job, but actually using it to place bets on a prediction market is against company policy, and they have put the employee on leave. He is also charged with commodities fraud and wire fraud and money laundering.
At least 16 girls have been killed in Kenya after a fire roared through a dorm at a boarding school. Dozens more students, at least 80, are hurt. This is ABC News. Former First Lady Jill Biden is speaking out about the debate performance that eventually forced her husband to end his re-election campaign. ABC's Andrea Fujii with more on her interview with CBS News Sunday Morning.
Jill Biden opening up about her husband's infamous 2024 debate performance.
I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that before or since.
She says she feared her then 81-year-old husband was experiencing a medical condition.
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
During the debate, Biden often paused, stuttered, and spoke incoherently.
The former president is suing the Justice Department this week to block the release of transcript interviews and thousands of hours of recordings with his ghostwriter for that memoir. The Justice Department obtained them during the investigation into the classified materials case. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
At 8:02, we have sunny skies, 71 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Thursday, May 28th. I'm Megan Lynch.
I think she may or may be
She's-
mute.
she's on mute.
Yeah.
I am present. I'm also in a East-West Gateway Board meeting this morning at 10 a.m., as was conveyed to the Board of Police Commissioners.
Mayor Kara Spencer expressing concern that once again, the state-appointed St. Louis Board of Police Commissioners holds a last-minute budget meeting at a time she had a previous conflict.
The aerial response unit, a fleet of drones, will only fly to calls for service. KMOX first told you about this when Chief Robert Tracy first released the information on X Tuesday. Despite not contacting Mayor Spencer, the Board of Police Commissioners signed the drones contract.
This board needs to do a better job of communicating with each other and being respectful of the public and the other officials on this board to be able to govern the body of the police department with more notice for something as important as a contract to have drones over the city of St. Louis.
Spencer also kept asking why, after this drone project's been looked at for over a year, that the contract had to be signed immediately. The drones are being funded by the St. Louis Police Foundation, however, not the drone pilots, who will have to be hired and paid by SLMPD. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
The Board of Police Commissioners was subpoenaed to testify before the Board of Aldermen. Did they show up?
The commissioners did not, instead dropping off their response. A near 700-page document outlining their belief the subpoenas were not properly served in person and that they do not believe the Aldermanic Committee has the authority to subpoena them. Alderman Rasheen Aldridge, the budget chair, wasn't happy.
That energy they put into those 700 pages, they could have showed they up and presented their budget. That is the biggest budget in the city of St. Louis. Like, valid or not, they clearly took it as some type of validation.
Asked if Aldridge attended any of the police board's budget hearings this winter, he said he had not. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Police now say two people, not just one, opened fire at a Steak and Shake employee in Spanish Lake last month. St. Louis County prosecutors charged 22-year-old Toriano Baker with first-degree murder this week in the killing of 32-year-old Chauncey Meekins from April 8th. Baker was the passenger in a white SUV when he and the driver, Jada Bell, are accused of shooting Meekins after a dispute over an order at the drive-thru window. Investigators say the gun was traced back to Baker. Both suspects now in custody on murder charges. A panel discussion about the positives a data center could have on a local economy hosted by Greater St. Louis Inc. yesterday. But how do they convince a skeptic public who was not in attendance of the benefits? John Stifler with the St. Louis Building and Construction Trades Council.
Touring these projects change a lot of people's opinion. Digging down into the facts of these projects changes people's opinion. I'm big on the community benefits agreement that we're starting to put in place. They started in Kansas City at the Google plant.
Asked if data centers should allow tours to the general public, not just politicians, he called it an outstanding idea. Missouri AFL-CIO President Jake Hummel says politicians need to demand the meetings be kept peaceful while also calling out misinformation.
I talked to elected officials after some of these meetings. I go, can you believe that what was said and that we know that's not true? And I said, why didn't you stop and say, that's absolutely not the case. I just want to point that out. That's not true.
Hummel adds politicians should not be afraid to lose their jobs for calling out misinformation. That massive riverfront development south of the Arch getting a fresh start. The Gateway South project took a huge hit last Thanksgiving when the historic Crundon Martin warehouse burned down. Now a city development board has reworked their agreement to help get construction moving. Doug Rasmussen is with Good Developments Group. He says they already have 4 tenants lined up to take over the space.
One is a panelized home manufacturer. It'd be about 54,000 foot building, 250 jobs. Another would be an electrical contractor facility, about a 50,000 foot building, 115 jobs.
He expects construction on at least 2 of those buildings to start before the end of the year. St. Louis Lambert Airport set to receive a $30 million grant today. The money comes from the FAA and aims to complete the consolidated terminal project, replacing aging infrastructure and more. Airport officials say the project should support 40 million travelers at the airport. From the KMOX Business Desk, sports tourism is definitely an economic generator for the city of O'Fallon, Illinois. That's what Mayor Eric Van Hook says as city officials release the number of visitors who attended games last year at the O'Fallon Family Sports Park. That was more than 1.6 million people. Now, O'Fallon leaders are considering building a $20 million field house that could host sporting events year-round. Van Hook tells KSDK they're thinking 8 baseball courts and 16 volleyball courts. Coming up this morning on Total Information AM, there's a new group in Clayton that's hoping to spur some business collaboration there and in the communities surrounding it. We're going to talk with a couple of their founders coming up. At 8:24, ABC's Brad Milkey and Aaron Katursky talk about that Google employee that's been arrested on charges he used inside information to place bets on the prediction market. We'll talk about some concerns surrounding some of the FIFA host sites, including Kansas City and LA. And at 8:41, make sure you stay with us. We're going to talk with Abe Scar, State Director of the Illinois Public Interest Research Group. You may have heard that Illinois lawmakers yesterday passed some legislation that would crack down on insurance companies that dramatically raise rates for home and auto owners. We're going to get more on that and what that legislation would do. It's 8:08. We'll check traffic and weather in 2 minutes here on Total Information AM.
Hello, 4th of July. Back-to-back Jack. Kerry Robinson, a hero tonight.
The Cubs visit St. Louis May 29th through the 31st for a weekend of baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium. The history is real. The fans are loud, and the energy in the ballpark is unmatched. Day or night, every pitch matters when these two meet. Get ready, Cardinals fans. This is what summer baseball in St. Louis is all about. Don't miss a moment of it. Get your tickets at cardinals.com.
The weekend starts at Busch Stadium. Grab your crew and kick it off at Friday Night Live. Every Friday night home game, Budweiser Terrace turns into the hottest happy hour in the Lou. With $5 beers, $5 hot dogs, $7 margaritas, live music, and more all game long. Meet up with friends, soak in the energy, and keep the night going with baseball under the lights. Good vibes, great deals, your new Friday tradition. Get tickets now at cardinals.com.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Ann Wagner from Missouri's 2nd District. I work every day to put more money in your pocket, secure the border, protect our shared Missouri values, and keep our communities safe. Whether it's visiting one of my public events in neighborhoods around the district or by contacting my office, I want to hear from you. If you need help with a federal agency, please contact me at wagner.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
The summer heat and humidity will be here soon. Is your air conditioner ready? This is Corey with Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. If your cooling system hasn't been checked to be ready for the warm weather, call Air Comfort Service. AC checks keep your equipment operating at maximum efficiency, prevent repairs, and extend the life of your equipment. For every AC clean and check booked in April, we'll donate a bag of pet food to Open Door Animal Sanctuary in House Springs. Stay in your comfort zone with a cooling system check from Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Visit aircomfortservice.com. That's aircomfortservice.com.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
8:10. Let's see if you're dealing with any problems on the roads this hour. Roger Brand has a look from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it looks like we have some trouble, Megan, on southbound 270 just before Ladue. I can't see what lane is blocked, but I can see traffic backing up from south of 364 down to that point. Eastbound 364, by the way, Bennington over to 270 is busy, at least in the right lanes. Get better on eastbound Highway 70. That earlier crash east of the Blanchette's gone. It's still slow east of Zumbel to about 5th Street, and then you're back on track after that. Eastbound 370. West of 94 to the Discovery Bridge, backed up in the work zone. Northbound 270, Doherty Ferry up to Ladue, that's still busy. If you're coming in on eastbound 64, it's clear all the way through the Interbelt. Westbound 64, Hampton to Hanley, though, is still kind of crowded. And downtown, westbound 70, Mutual Veterans out past Salisbury. We had an incident between there and Grand, and westbound 64, it's just kind of heavy approaching the Poplar. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Some fog patches in the area for a while this morning. Partial sunshine today, warm this afternoon, high 86. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, low 67. More clouds and sun tomorrow with a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon, a high 81. For Saturday, intervals of clouds and sun with a chance of a shower or thunderstorm, high 82. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
We do have sunny skies this morning, 68 degrees in Florissant. It's 70 in St. Peter's, 71 degrees downtown at the Arch. This is Total Information AM here on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. There is a new group working to connect businesses and organizations in Clayton and the surrounding area. They're working toward collaboration and innovation. It's called the Clayton Chamber Collective, and it launched this month. Joining me now, Emily Bramer, president of the Bramer Group and chair of the new Clayton Chamber Collective, and Mike Adrian, partner at Lathrop GPM Clayton Chamber Collective board member. Thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having us, Megan. We're happy to be here.
So the Clayton Chamber of Commerce closed at the end of 2024. What's it mean when there's a loss of a chamber for the business community?
So Megan, I'm a lifelong career professional here in Clayton, and I was a member of the board. Our firm has been involved with the Clayton Chamber for a number of years. So we saw firsthand the benefits of having that thriving community. The problem was post-COVID, we encountered a lot of problems with engagement, especially in-person engagement, and so really struggling to overcome that. And so the biggest thing that we noticed was a need to engage businesses, learn about your best resources, learn about best practices, and we really lost that opportunity to do that again, especially in person once that chamber went by the boards.
So when we look at this new Clayton Chamber Collective, what's your mission statement? What's it all about?
I will say that our tagline, really, where business meets community, is really at the heart of everything that we do. So the Clayton Chamber Collective was really started as this very much of a grassroots effort between solo entrepreneurs, small businesses, large organizations like Mike's firm and Commerce Bank, who's been a big supporter of ours, to figure out how to bring together all of these stakeholders within the Clayton business community. And there are a lot of them. I mean, I think one of the things that makes Clayton really special as a financial hub for our area is that you have this really wonderful blend of these large companies and big towers, but then you also have the small businesses down on the street level, and you have solo entrepreneurs working out of co-working spaces. And and not-for-profits, churches. I mean, there's so many different organizations that really come together to make Clayton a very walkable community and a very interconnected community. I think one of the things that's been a struggle post-COVID is getting people out of their offices and getting them reconnected in person. And so that is the challenge that we are here to address.
Looking at that, what will be some of the first priorities for the group?
So I think to get started, we are working on a slate of events, focusing on creating unique events, things that people can't get other places, either because they're getting to peek behind the curtain and see behind the scenes into a building or space that they wouldn't normally have access to. We were really excited to do our May 4th launch event at the new Commerce Bank Tower on their 6th floor open air terrace. We had a lot of folks say when they got up there, I didn't even know this was here. So we're trying to create opportunities for people to meet and interact with folks that they wouldn't normally get to engage with, to get, timely educational information that they can use to help grow their business and really to make those connections.
Mike, what do you feel like we need in the way of business innovation, maybe looking at the next 5 to 10 years in this region?
I think with respect to innovation, I think it's critical to bring along the young professionals, to be honest, and to get their opinion, because I think they work very differently. They have a different mindset. And so bringing them along and finding out what needs we can serve for them and what opportunities they see within their group, I think will absolutely help us open our eyes to doing things differently and really benefiting from them, as opposed to trying to teach them this is the way that we've always done it, we've been successful, this is the way to do it.
I'm really intrigued by this talk of community interaction, getting people down on the street level. Why the focus on that?
The large businesses in St. Louis need the small businesses to thrive. The small businesses need the infrastructure and the support of the large businesses. They work together hand in hand more often than you would think. And the small businesses in Clayton, those street level businesses, that's really what makes Clayton a walkable, approachable, lived in city, as opposed to someplace where people come, go to work, leave at the end of the day. We want folks to stay. We want to have robust restaurants, retail, and for there to be things to support the residents as well as the folks who are commuting and in the towers, to make that a very robust community. And when we talk about community too, it's not even just within the businesses. I think one of the things that we've done that's been very eye-opening for us is, we've developed a strategic plan with the help of WashU Olin School of Business. So Ria Zachariah, who's a graduate student there, who's now since graduated, she works at Boeing, incredibly talented gal. She put together a strategic plan researching successful chambers from around the country. And really what she found was that the successful chambers brought together all of the pillars of their communities and didn't just rely on one segment. It wasn't just about the small businesses or just about those regional anchors in the community, but it was really about bringing everybody together. So that really provided the foundation for our approach. And then, when you're starting off brand new with no budget, you have to get creative. So we also partnered with the Clayton Catalyst program, which brings together students from multiple schools in our area, and they have been fantastic. We actually have 2 Clayton Catalyst student board members on our board, bringing in their perspective and the next generation, and that connection to that younger energy has been fantastic. And we did a logo and branding competition with Clayton High School with their marketing class, and they created our logo, which was fantastic. And we've gotten so many compliments on it that we've been asked now to do merch. But yes, so and it really has felt, because of bringing in the students as well, that this has been a real community effort.
That is Emily Bramer and Mike Adrian with the Clayton Chamber Collective. You can find out more at their website, claytonchambercollective.com. Make sure you stay with us this morning here on Total Information AM. We've got a lot coming up, including a Google employee that's been charged with using inside information to place bets on the prediction market. We'll tell you more about Illinois lawmakers approving protections against hikes in home and auto insurance rates. And then colleges are dealing with declining enrollment. Some of them are now offering 3-year degrees to try to pull students in. I'm going to talk with John Marcus with the Hechinger Report coming up at the bottom of the hour. It's now 8:19. Let's get a check of the roads with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we still have this jam, Megan, on southbound 270. If you're headed down from 364, that's where the bumper-to-bumper traffic begins. This incident just north of Ladue, this crash was blocking a traffic lane. The left lanes look like they're moving better into the area, but again, it's still a solid jam on South 270. North 270 is better, but it's still slow just north of Manchester up to 64. If you're coming in on eastbound 64, it's pretty well cleared out at the Interbelt. Not much there. Westbound 64, though, approaching Hampton out to Hanley, still busy. We have an incident downtown. Now westbound 70 near Branch. Traffic is jammed back past the Musial Veterans Bridge. Westbound 64 is cleared out. It looks good going across the Poplar Street Bridge. Eastbound 370 still a little slow. 94 up to the Discovery Bridge in that construction zone. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Partly sunny skies today, warm this afternoon. We're expecting a high of 86 degrees, partly to mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 67. And then tomorrow, more clouds and sun, not quite as warm, with a chance of a thunderstorm in spots in the afternoon. Expect a high of 81. Right now, sunny skies, 71 degrees downtown at the Arch.
Too many tools, too much stress, and way too many bills. Odoo replaces it all. One connected platform for every part of your business, so you can work faster, smarter, and for less. Odoo, the only software you'll ever need. Try it free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
It's Tom Ackerman. Today's the day, our Redbird Roundtable at Anheuser-Busch. The beer garden at Anheuser-Busch is the site. If you did not get into this, it is a free event. There might still be a ticket or two available. I know we were going to cap it at 500, and we were near capacity. If you want to check BudweiserTours.com, BudweiserTours.com, hit that Redbird Roundtable and get in. You can register today. Ozzie Smith, Matt Adams, and Al Roboski will join me. It's from 4:30 to 6:30. We'll take the stage at 5, talk some baseball, have a good time. There could be some cold beer involved. This is Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch, and it's going to be a blast. Can't think of three better guys right there. Ozzie Smith, Al Roboski, and Matt Adams. 3 different eras of Cardinal baseball, too. BudweiserTours.com if you want to get in. Anheuser-Busch experiences are the best, as we know. BudweiserTours.com for the Redbird Roundtable today at 4:30.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Thanks for listening to Total Information AM here on KMOX. Last week, we went in depth about potential state regulation of prediction markets, where you can bet on pretty much anything. Well, now ABC News has learned a Google employee has been arrested on charges that he used inside information to place bets on the prediction market platform Polymarket. Brad Mielke, host of the ABC News Daily News podcast Start Here, gets more from Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katursky.
What happened here? You know how every year, Brad, Google releases its list of top searched people in any given year? Mm-hmm. Well, according to federal prosecutors, one of Google's software engineers, a guy by the name of Michele Spagnolo, an Italian citizen, had access to the information. He knew who Google's top searched person of 2025 was going to be when prosecutors say he placed a series of bets on Polymarket that netted him $1.2 million by correctly wagering that the singer known as David would be the top searched person on Google in 2025.
What does Google have to say about that? Because like every company's got some form of like confidential information we don't want to release, but then there's insider trading. How are they reacting?
Well, Google says he may have had access to the confidential, non-public information as part of his job, but actually using it to place bets on a prediction market is against company policy, and they've put the employee on leave. He is also charged with commodities fraud and wire fraud and money laundering because prosecutors say this is just the kind of bet or trade that is akin to insider trading on a securities market.
Well, I thought you were about to say, Aaron, this is just the kind of bet that you could imagine happening. Because wasn't it, I think it was the head of Polymarket a while ago said, hey, insider trading is a net good for the world. Like we get more information, the more the insiders are putting their stuff out there. Kalshi has almost taken the opposite tack. They've said, we're going to be really tough on insider trading, but I think there's a lot of skepticism from people who understand there's a lot of money to be made out there from people constantly trading on what knowledge they might have or what they're kind of guessing will happen out there.
In fact, it's a real potential black eye for sites like Polymarket and Kalshi if their users don't have confidence that they're not going to be on the losing end of somebody's insider bet. What are we entering now?
This is our surveillance system. So here are all of our surveillance analysts.
And so Kalshi invited us into its room where they're trying to suss out insider trades. And we were the first reporters invited in by Kalshi to see this group of mainly young guys in vests who look like they haven't slept, and cans of Red Bull were everywhere.
We have 24/7 shifts that they're rotating, monitoring the markets because the markets are open 24 hours a day.
And they are actually looking for abnormally large trades or trades that just don't smell right. You mentioned your own enforcement. What does that look like?
So an enforcement case, it begins as an investigation and usually as an alert. So once an alert comes up, our surveillance team reviews it. It might be a false positive, then they'll dismiss it. If it's not, they typically will involve me or another member of our legal team at that stage, and we start collecting information.
And then they go and route around on employee sites and other places on the web to see if they're the result of inside information.
This comes after, by the way, the House Oversight Committee is now launching an investigation into insider trading potential. What are they looking for exactly?
They're looking to see if these sites are on the up and up, because the preference of the sites themselves, Brad, would be they want to do their own policing.
Right.
And they have in some cases. Kalshi says it referred about 200 potential insider trading cases to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission and is done all that already this year and on pace to do more for the remainder of the year. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission is led by Mike Seelig, who also agreed to speak with us.
There's always a risk that there could be somebody trading on insider information, but it's our job as regulators to take legal action there. It's the job of the Department of Justice to take criminal action in many cases as well.
Normally, the commission, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, is made up of 5 members. Right now, Seelig is the only member, so he has unusually high influence over how prediction markets are regulated.
If we have a system where there's 50 different regimes around what you can offer, people just aren't going to offer it here. They'll go offshore, and that's bad for all Americans.
And he is fighting to keep that control with his agency, despite the efforts of a number of states to try and regulate how prediction markets operate.
That is ABC's Aaron Katursky with Brad Milkey. It's now 8:27. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Tom Ackerman here. You know, I've been talking about McKelvey Homes for a while. McKelvey Homes, Missouri's oldest home builder, going back to 1898. They're the ones who've been doing it a long, long time. And they're breaking ground on something new in O'Fallon called Strawberry Farms. First foundations are in, display home opening soon, walking trails, a lake, a berry patch honoring the land's history as strawberry fields. That's why it's called Strawberry Farms, a private playground, Fort Zumwalt schools, a fresh start in a great location, Strawberry Farms in O'Fallon, Missouri. Look, I've worked with Jim Brennan, the president of McKelvey Homes, long enough to know when Jim and McKelvey decide to build something, they do it right. Visit McKelveyhomes.com to learn more. It's a great website, easy to navigate. McKelveyhomes.com to schedule a tour. Strawberry Farms in O'Fallon. Move up to McKelvey.
You just testified under oath you're getting more fiber in your diet, and it was easy. Where is this additional fiber coming from?
Mira Fiber Gummies.
Objection.
It's true. Mira Fiber has 8 grams of fiber to help me get the fiber I need in a day, plus 4 B vitamins for metabolism support, all in one serving.
Overruled.
My gut rests its case.
Oh, that's my line.
Find Mirafiber today at your local retailer from the makers of Miralax. Mirafiber supports metabolism of carbs, fats, and proteins. Serving size is 4 gummies.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Let's see how the morning commute is going. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Megan, we still have this jam on southbound 270. I still can't see what's blocking before you get to Ladue, but it's a solid jam back north of 364 down to a point about midway between Olive and Ladue on southbound 270 before it starts opening up. Northbound 270, just a couple of slow spots north of Manchester up through 64. That doesn't look that bad. Westbound 64 still slow. Hampton through Bellevue. Eastbound 64, Big Bend through Bellevue is just a little busy. North 55 looks great coming up from the south side. Downtown, eastbound 70 past Backers Avenue, a little busy, but westbound going across the Musial Veterans and Poplar Bridge is okay. And at westbound 70, the incident we had closer to Salisbury is gone, and things have thinned out there as well. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it looks like we'll have a partly sunny sky today, warm this afternoon, a high of 86, partly to mostly cloudy tonight with an overnight low of 67. Right now, sunny skies, 71 degrees in downtown St. Louis. It's 8:31. Cities hosting FIFA World Cup games expecting a major surge in tourism. But there's growing concern that human trafficking rings will be operating in those cities as well. Here's Odyssey's Pete Demetrio on how law enforcement and activists are getting the word out to keep people safe.
The goal of those bringing trafficking victims into the country during a major sporting event is making money, with trafficking victims finding temporary employment and the traffickers skimming the wages, or outright sexual trafficking of young people through prostitution. Anissa Easterbrook with the group It's a Penalty says education is being pushed to major employers and their staffs in the hospitality trades here in LA to help them spot victims of trafficking.
So it's in companies' best interest to get ahead of this. We provide training to Airbnb, Booking.com, IHG, all of our partners, all of our hospitality and tourism members. We do it in person and online. And we make sure that staff are prepared for what's coming, for this influx of people and for the dangers that might be occurring in their venues.
Online learning is perhaps the quickest option for large hotel chains, airlines, tour services, and others to get their employees prepared to spot trafficking patterns and victims.
You just head to itsapenalty.org/understanding-human-trafficking. You can do that today. You can take it today and you can leave feeling a lot more informed.
Easterbrook says the final part of preventing human trafficking is for people to be alert, trust their gut when they see a pattern of abuse or control of someone, and if needed, call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888.
Again, that number 888-373-7888. There are, of course, 16 cities across Canada, Mexico, and the United States hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup games. Those include Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, LA, as he mentioned, as well as Kansas City. It's now 8:33. Your Money Report next.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767.
I'm Piera Palazzolo, VP of Digital Marketing for the American Management Association, a company focused on the management training skills needed to enhance the careers of business professionals. We did our research when it came to the best companies for website development and chose AmericanEagle.com. And we couldn't be happier. AmericanEagle.com worked closely with us to understand the front and back end requirements needed to launch an e-commerce website that could handle the complexities of running thousands of seminars nationwide. Our robust new website and improved SEO saw immediate increases in site traffic and web revenue. If you're in need of managerial effectiveness and success, visit our website at amanet.org. If you're in need of a website that provides an unparalleled consumer experience, I highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Transform your business today. Dial 877-WebNow1 for a free digital consultation with AmericanEagle.com.
Time for your Money Report now, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Courtney Donahoe.
A deal that's expected to create a massive entertainment empire. Billionaire real estate mogul Tillman Fertitta is buying Caesars Entertainment in a $5.7 billion acquisition. He's pursued a merger of his casino and restaurant business with Caesars for years. The plan would combine his Landry's restaurants and Golden Nugget properties with the Las Vegas company. Caesars owns or manages 52 casinos in the U.S. The takeover is subject to regulatory review. Checking on your money, investors are cautious this morning. Stock futures falling as a deal to end the war in Iran remains elusive. Investors continue to monitor negotiations to end the conflict that has fueled inflation. And shoppers are snapping up computers and mobile devices at Best Buy. Shares are soaring in the early trade after the electronics retailer reported sales that topped Wall Street expectations. Consumers, they seem to be holding up in the face of inflation and soaring gas prices. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
It's really, really hard to find good help these days, especially if you're trying to find at-home care for yourself or your loved one. So let me tell you about Freedom Care. Freedom Care has already served more than 160,000 families, has a 97% satisfaction rating. Freedom Care means that you can find somebody who already knows your loved one's routines. You get to choose a trusted friend or a relative as a caregiver to help your loved one with meals, bathing, mobility, maybe all the things that they're already helping your loved one with, and they can get paid. Richard, for example, says, we brought in a couple of aides for my mother, but I could tell she wasn't happy. Now I get to care for mom daily, and she's smiling and laughing. I feel really good knowing she's getting stronger each day, and Richard can get paid. So this is through Medicaid. So find out if you qualify, if you're already caring for someone with Medicaid, or if you're ready to help. It's Freedom Care, 314-947-5139, 314-947-5139 for Freedom Care.
Hello, 4th of July. Back-to-back Jack. Kerry Robinson, a hero tonight.
The Cubs visit St. Louis May 29th through the 31st for a weekend of baseball's best rivalry at Busch Stadium. The history is real, the fans are loud, and the energy in the ballpark is unmatched. Day or night, every pitch matters when these two meet. Get ready, Cardinals fans. This is what summer baseball in St. Louis is all about. Don't miss a moment of it. Get your tickets at cardinals.com.
The weekend starts at Busch Stadium. Grab your crew and kick it off at Friday Night Live. Every Friday night home game, Budweiser Terrace turns into the hottest happy hour in the Louvre. With $5 beers, $5 hot dogs, $7 margaritas, live music, and more all game long. Meet up with friends, soak in the energy, and keep the night going with baseball under the lights. Good vibes, great deals, your new Friday tradition. Get tickets now at cardinals.com.
The final home game of the season is here, St. Louis. Your St. Louis Battlehawks hit the field Friday, May 29th at 7 p.m. against the Dallas Renegades at the Dome at America Center. It's Battlehawk Kids Day, packed with family fun, Battlehawks energy, and an Archie bobblehead giveaway while supplies last. Join Battlehawks Nation. Bring the whole crew and help close out the season the only way St. Louis knows how. Loud and proud. Caw-caw. Because caw is the law. Get tickets starting at just $18 at UFLBattlehawks.com or Ticketmaster.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Schedule your free inspection today. Call 877-WINDOWS. That's 877-WINDOWS. Or head to rbastl.com.
This is 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. A key inflation gauge accelerated in April to the highest level in 3 years. The latest sign that spiking gas prices and higher food costs are squeezing Americans' finances. The proportion of Americans without health insurance held steady at around 8% of the population in 2025. That's according to new findings from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And Australia suing the U.S. company 3M for more than $1.4 billion due to contamination from forever chemicals in firefighting foam at defense bases. Let's see if there's still problems on southbound 270. Roger Brand has the latest from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Yeah, I can finally see the crash, Megan. It looks to me like it's all on the right shoulder, but they may have the right lane blocked for safety. It's sort of in the midst of this jam, so I can't get a good look at that right lane, but I can tell you the jam goes back to 364 on South 270, and again, this crash is just before you get to Ladue. South 270, otherwise, the ramp lanes from the Rock Road getting onto 70 are kind of busy. North 270, north of Manchester up toward Clayton Road's a little heavy. Eastbound 64, a brief slowdown at the Interbelt. South 170, south of Olive down to Ladue, just kind of some slow traffic meandering through there. Other than that, the rest of these interstates are looking great right now. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be a pretty but warm day today. Partly sunny, a high of 86. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight with an overnight low of 67. And then tomorrow, more clouds and sun, not quite as warm with a chance for thunderstorms in spots in the afternoon. Expect a high of 81. We currently have sunny skies, 71 degrees downtown at the Arch.
Finally, substantial accountability is coming to the car insurance industry. We've been fighting against their lack of transparency and discriminatory practices that they've been using to squeeze Illinois drivers for far too long.
That's Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Janulius announcing new insurance reforms that have been sent this week to the governor's desk. It's a response to recent spikes in car and homeowner insurance rates in the state. With me now on the Quiver River Electric Guest Line, a group that's been advocating for change, Abe Scar, State Director of Illinois Public Interest Research Group. Abe, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Give us a sense of what Illinois homeowners and drivers have been experiencing in terms of those insurance rate increases in recent years.
Well, we started working on this after the first year of the pandemic when rates should have gone down, and they did go down, but not nearly as much as they should have. Colleagues of ours calculated that Illinois drivers were overcharged on average $99 that year because the risk of driving had gone down because people weren't driving as much, but rates didn't go down in proportion. After that, we saw 2 years of billion-dollar plus car insurance rate increases. And on the homeowner side, between 2021 and 2024, Illinois homeowners insurance rates went up by 50% from roughly $2,000 to $3,000 per year. That was the largest increase in the country besides just one state. And that was before State Farm filed its $500 million rate increase last year. So these are some of the rate increases we've been dealing with.
A lot of groups have said there are discriminatory practices as well in the insurance industry, not just in Illinois, but some of the things they're seeing. Are we seeing those things in Illinois?
Absolutely. These are widespread practices, unfortunately, and only a handful of states have taken action to address them. They use things like credit score, and often credit score has a bigger impact on both your car and homeowners rates than things you would think should. So, for example, with car insurance, we've found that in Illinois, if you have a DUI conviction but a high credit score, you're going to pay less for your car insurance than somebody with a perfect driving record and a low credit score. And that's absurd. And similarly, we're seeing these types of disparities in homeowners insurance. And, it's absurd. It doesn't send the right price signal. We should be telling people to be safer drivers or to make improvements to their home to make them more resilient, not to improve their credit score as a way to get, better insurance rates.
Illinois lawmakers passed 2 bills this week that are going to the governor. I understand he's expected to sign them. What does this legislation do?
Very basic. It sets a standard that rates shall not be excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory. And this is basic boilerplate language that's in every other state besides Illinois, and it's even in other parts of the Illinois insurance code, just not for property and casualty insurance. And without that standard, there's nothing to hold insurance companies accountable to. If the Department of Insurance believed a company was charging excessive rates, more than they could justify, that wasn't against the law. When Governor Pritzker signs this, now it will be, and the Department of Insurance will now have some basic authority to review rate filings once they come in and challenge them if they believe they are excessive. That's the foundational important reform. There's some other things in these laws, notably that if an insurer is going to raise a consumer's rates by 10% or more, they have to give them advance notice, which should be helpful for consumers if they want to shop around to see if they can get a better rate when their renewal comes up.
Could there be any rollback of current rates?
Possibly, but I wouldn't say that's likely, unless we see a scenario like we did, during the pandemic when the risk factors change. And I think that's an important point here. Rate regulation does not change the underlying factors that drive rate increases or decreases. And people shouldn't expect, that now that these reforms are passed, we're just going to see lower rates or rates aren't going to go up. Rate regulation can help moderate rate increases. So maybe instead of that $500 million increase, we would have seen a $400 million increase. Still big, but not as severe. Or when rates should have gone down like they should have in pandemic, we would have seen a fuller reduction and a quicker reduction, which we did see in many other states that have stronger regulatory regimes.
You're listening to Abe Scar. He's state director for Illinois PIRG. The industry has issued some warnings about this legislation. They've said it might force them to reduce the coverage they offer to Illinoisans or leave the state entirely. What's your response to that?
Well, I think that's overheated rhetoric, and they've used a lot of that overheated rhetoric here. It would be pretty absurd, in my view, for them to take those types of actions in response to this. This is not a particularly strong regulatory regime. This is a baby step. Many states have stronger regulations, and we've called for stronger regulations. And the type of regulation that's going to be implemented here exists in almost every other state. And the insurance industry has not run out of every other state because they have basic consumer protections. What's really going on is Illinois has been basically deregulated when it comes to rates, insurance rates, for 50 years. And the insurance industry loves that. And it's been a national example that they can hold up to other states and say, don't regulate us, be more like Illinois. So they are fighting very strongly, have been fighting very strongly to maintain the status quo. We're, of course, also home to Allstate and State Farm, and they've got a lot of sway in the state. So I think a lot of what they've been saying is, again, overheated rhetoric, and I don't anticipate a bunch of insurers are going to just leave Illinois because of, some very basic consumer protections.
What would you say to arguments, when insurance companies do raise rates that, for example, they're dealing with increases in catastrophic severe weather events, which we have seen, or, that they're trying to use objective criteria for pricing some of the risks they're facing?
Well, I agree that we are seeing a rise of extreme weather. The frequency and the intensity of storms, particularly here in the Midwest, things like hailstorms, tornadoes, are on the rise, and we should only expect them to continue rising. And so that's, again, why I would say we should not expect this basic rate regulation to change that dynamic. And in fact, Illinois and other states need to do more to address the underlying causes of this extreme weather, which is, of course, climate change. And there's other things we can do to become more resilient to the climate change. And we are advocating for those policies as well. I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of your question. The first was about extreme
Just that
weather.
they're using those and other objective measurements.
Yes, thank you. Well, a study by our colleagues at the Consumer Federation of America last year, again, found that things like credit score can often have a bigger impact than on the riskiness of the area that your home is based in. So they found that homes in the first percentile for risk, that is the riskiest 1% of zip codes in the country, if you have a low credit score, you're paying the same rate as somebody with a high credit score in the 71st most risky zip code in the country. And so I don't buy it when they just say, oh, no, it's just about the risk and it's just objective. They're using other factors that they use because they want to pick their customers. They want the highest value customers. And they're not just basing their rates on the risks, which are real, as I just said. And this is, I think, another important aspect of this reform is, again, I think home insurance rates are going to continue to go up because the risks are going up. But we need more insight and more state oversight of their business practices as that happens to make sure they're not taking advantage of the fact that there is this increased risk to raise rates even more than they should.
Abe, thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
That is Abe Scar, State Director of the Illinois Public Interest Research Group. Coming up next, we're going to talk about some colleges that are now offering 3-year degrees.
Lombardo Homes is known for quality, luxury, and thoughtful design in some of the area's most desirable communities. This season, we're continuing a limited spring opportunity, offering select enhancements designed to elevate your home and your experience. From a finished basement recreation room to premium kitchen and cabinet upgrades, or flexible options like design credits or closing cost savings. These offers are available in select communities for a limited time. Visit lombardohomes.com or stop by a sales office today.
Ready for a fresh start? The Excel Center in St. Louis is here to help you earn your high school diploma, tuition-free and on your schedule. With convenient locations in downtown St. Louis and Florissant, you can learn at your pace with support every step of the way. Need childcare, career coaching, flexible classes? We've got you covered. Registration is now open. Don't wait to take the next step toward your future. Visit excel.mersgoodwill.org to enroll today. This community message has been brought to you by Together Credit Union.
Chrysalis Biosciences in Sauget, Illinois is hiring for multiple roles. Join a fast-growing ethanol plant transforming renewable energy with competitive pay, benefits, and growth opportunities. Apply today and grow your career with Chrysalis at chrysalisbio.com.
Feel the rhythm and turn it up, St. Louis. Legendary rock icons Santana and the Doobie Brothers are bringing the heat to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater June 20th for the Oneness Tour 2026. From Black Magic Woman to Listen to the Music, this is the concert event fans don't want to miss. It'll be a summer night soon not forgotten. Santana, the Doobie Brothers. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, go to KMOX.com/events.
Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
I'm Megan Lynch. Thanks for listening to Total Information AM here on KMOX. Some colleges in the United States now offering 3-year degrees. I saw an article in the Hechinger Report about this new trend and wanted to find out more. So joining me today on the Quiver River Electric Guest Line is Hechinger Senior Higher Education Reporter John Marcus. John, thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me on.
How many institutions are trying this at this point?
So there's a little more than 60 colleges and universities nationwide that are doing this, but I think we can expect that to kind of accelerate because a number of states, in some states, state approval is required to change the number of credits that you need to get a bachelor's degree. And several states have now approved this. Some legislatures have actually required public universities to offer, at least in some high demand fields, degrees that you can get in 3 years instead of 4.
How are these structured? Are they condensing the same number of credit hours into 3 years, or is it different?
Yes, that's a really good question and a really important one. For a long time, there have been conversations about trying to squeeze 4 years into 3. You have to get 100. For most bachelor's degrees, they require at least 120 credits. That's a lot of work to take that number of courses. People often go to college in the summer to do it. And surprisingly, about 7% of students manage to finish in 3 years. But this new kind of 3-year bachelor's degree, and this is an incredibly dramatic change that has largely escaped attention, reduces the number of credits that you need to earn to 90. And so it's a 90 credit 3-year bachelor's degree. And mostly the way they do that is by getting rid of a lot of the electives.
Could this matter down the road if someone wanted to get a higher degree, a master's or even a PhD?
Yes, another great question. So it's really early to know how employers and graduate schools will look at these new reduced credit 3-year degrees. That's because they've only just started. The first ones began last semester in the fall. So it's going to be a little while before those students graduate and we get a sense of that. Now, having said that, there have been some surveys by universities and colleges of employers who typically hire their graduates. And employers say, we don't care how long it takes, as long as they learn the material, we'll hire them. The hitch is graduate school. If students are interested in going on to a graduate or professional program, that's going to be a little dicier. Graduate school admissions offices have said in a separate survey that they won't accept 3-year degrees, but that because of the kind of momentum behind these 3-year degrees now, they are reconsidering that. So again, it's a little early to know, but that is one area to keep an eye on.
Is it thought that this could help fill some holes in some areas of business where graduates are needed right away?
Yes, most of these programs are in high demand fields where there's not enough graduates. And that's why states including North Dakota, Massachusetts, those states are approving these programs to fill high demand fields. But it's also a way for colleges to fill seats. There's been a significant decline in enrollment, particularly, incidentally, in the Midwest and the Northeast because of demographic changes that have resulted in a smaller number of 18-year-olds, and 18-year-olds are a principal market for colleges. So they're looking for ways to continue to recruit students. And this appeals to students who don't want to spend 4 years. And in fact, more than half of students in 4-year programs take more than 4 years to graduate, at least 5 years, and 2/3 of them take 6 years. So students are abandoning higher education, and this is a way the colleges see to bring them back.
Well, John, thanks for bringing this to our attention. It'll be interesting to follow it over the next few years and see what happens.
I look forward to talking about it again, and thanks for having me on.
That's great. John Marcus is the Heckinger Senior Higher Education Reporter joining us this morning here on Total Information AM.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Health Trends, sponsored by Red Pocket Mobile.
New research reveals that your sleep habits could be altering your biological clock. A study in the journal Nature finds that getting less than 6